and welcome to the FE Bar. I'm your host, Jack Jordan Maynard, and joining me today is the lovely Aisha Dooley. And it is a calendar special. Formula E released their calendar for season 11, which has a lot of talking points. Italy is no more. Monaco and Tokyo become double headers. London remains. Diriyah gets a new location, and Miami and Jakarta rejoin the calendar. Also, we'll discuss some of the news, like Ferrari could possibly be joining the all-electric series. Remember, this is your show. We also have a very special announcement that we'll reveal at the end of the show, so get involved, jump onto our Discord, and talk to us. Aisha, welcome to the FE Bar. It's your debut. How are you?
Oh my God. Hi, this is actually really exciting. My first time being your co-host. I'm just really excited on what the viewer has for us, actually.
Yeah, we've got lots and lots to discuss. And the first thing I wanted to discuss is obviously because you are from Indonesia and you went to the Jakarta E-Prix for us all that time ago, to 2 years ago. So I kind of want to talk about Jakarta in itself, like just to start us off. What was the atmosphere like in Jakarta for Formula E, and obviously it being back in the calendar, how important is it for like Indonesia and so forth?
I mean, Jakarta, the first year I remembered, I think it was COVID time that Formula E announced Jakarta will be its like newest venue. And obviously I got excited, but then it got cancelled because of another political campaign.
Yeah.
And it actually affect a lot of people because Jakarta at the time. So it was New Year and Jakarta was there was flood everywhere where I think I remembered I got my laptop drained. It was just a horrible year for us.
Yeah.
And then I think the government announced that Formula E will be in Jakarta, and everyone's like, "Oh, why are you spending your money on sport event instead of just taking care of the flood?" But then again,
Yes.
Formula E happened in 2022, and I was lucky enough to attend Formula E and join the FIA Girls on Track. It was just the first time for everyone. And it's just funny how in Jakarta people don't know which one is the race and which one is the qualifying because
Yeah.
in Formula E, I think I remembered it was a double header too. So
Yeah.
they have a in Saturday and Sunday, and everyone is just coming for Sunday because they think that it's just like Formula One. And it happened again in 2023. And now Jakarta is not in for a double header because I
Yeah.
remember when I was in Formula E HQ in London, they're like, "Oh, we're not going to do a double header because a lot of people think that the race is only on Sunday, so we don't have any viewers on Saturday," which is quite a shame. But the atmosphere in Jakarta, it was scorching hot. I remember everyone just standing in front of the fan. It was really hot, really nice track. And if anyone been to Jakarta, it's really close to the beach, as in it's only 5 minutes away. It's technically in the beach. They got a theme park, and if you purchase a ticket, you get access to like literally everything: the concert, the beach, the theme park. So it's a pretty huge deal to everyone. Yeah, I think everyone loved it.
No, indeed. I think it's really good to have on the really good to have back on the calendar. I think Jakarta, and so obviously it coming back. Do you think Formula E or the fans, I suppose, in Jakarta, do you think they've kind of learnt that what Formula E is, and you think the event could be like bigger or better going into next year?
I genuinely hope so because Formula E coming to Jakarta, it's like having another international event in Asia is obviously quite big. And it was a shame that they got cancelled just this year because of a really important political campaign that I'm going to talk about later because um it's just that Formula E should be there, but it didn't ended up being on a calendar for some reason. And I know that a lot of fans are like disappointed that they are not coming to Jakarta because it's just like the tickets they're quite cheap for everyone. They are very entertaining, and most of the fans like they're starting to build up and like who this driver is, who this team is, and they got really cool teams last year as well, joining like McLaren, and I know the fans know Mitch Evans
Yep.
because so basically Sean, I think he's doing World Endurance.
Yep.
Sean Galal is from Indonesia and he's like best friends with Mitch Evans, so a lot of Sean fan is also Mitch Evans fans.
Yep.
And I know I think Antonio Giovinazzi
Yep.
went to Jakarta as well, and just like the Formula One veterans, and they're starting to like build up like about the other drivers and meeting them like the fan zone, going to the paddock for free, especially for Indonesian. So everyone is just, becoming more interested in Formula E more and more every
No,
year, which is
perfect.
really good.
And then
Yeah.
obviously you mentioned it at the beginning, right? And this is kind of fascinating, and I want to know the story behind it for yourself, and it'd be really great for the fans to understand as well. Is the girls on track, the FIA girls on track thing, and how you got involved in that, and then how that kind of progressed to you going then to the Formula E headquarters and so forth. As we let's call this segment "Getting to Know Aisha," right? It's her first show, so it's the "Getting to Know Aisha" show, right at the moment, and then we'll delve into the calendar. But it's really important to. I think it was a massive achievement being part of the FIA girls on track place.
No, yeah, it's really exciting because I only figured out FI Girls on Track because it was locked down, so I have nothing better to do. But like, I know that motorsport is my passion, so I just started to like join like the FI Women in Motorsport, FI Girls on Track. But then they announced that they're coming to Jakarta for the first time ever, and I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to be like one of the lucky girls. They only pick like 100 local girls, and then I was already like, I was 17 at the time, so I was just like, you know
Yeah.
what, let's just apply for it. Because I remembered my dad not having like the access to get me any tickets because I think it was sold out or something. And I got in, and it was really good, as in it was really fun that I managed to get to know all of the racing drivers. So in Indonesia, the host, they're all like female racing drivers in Indonesia, so they try to like introduce us to the sport. They introduce us to like, that you can be more than a racing driver if you want to work in more sport. You can be, for example, you want to work in media, you can do the press releases, you
Yep.
can be the engineer. So it was really fun, and obviously I started to like get to know more about the female racing drivers, get their contacts. And the next year I remembered that I got my accreditation for the media from Formula E Zone, so I'm really
Yes.
grateful for that. Honestly,
Working
that's
for
just
us.
my best day ever. And I think the FIA Girls on Track, like the team, they wanted to do like, oh, you know what, like you actually made it, like you are in the media now, so why don't we just interview you? And I was lucky enough that I remember it was Sophie Burley. I think she's doing most of the work in the After Goes on Track, and she's just like, "Oh, you're coming to Leeds, so why don't you just come and visit us in London, like in our headquarters, and we can arrange something." And yeah, and that's how I got my chance, just be in the headquarters, and they were telling me that they're quite interested in telling Formula E my story. So yeah, it was really awesome.
Yeah, it is amazing because obviously I've known Aisha for a couple of years. So obviously coming from Indonesia, where you were when you started working with Formula E Zone, to now being in Leeds, studying to be a journalist, is pretty cool. But we'll cap the Aisha debut sort of get to know me segment here, and we actually start talking some Formula E because obviously we
No,
had the
honestly.
we had the calendar announcement on Tuesday, and I just wanted to kind of get your sort of like overall impressions. Like, what did you make of the calendar?
I think the calendar, I don't know, I think it's just me, but it seems quite long than usual. It's because they have so basically they have Miami, that's new,
Yeah.
right? And I just remembered, I think it was last year that the rumors are starting to like fly around that Formula E is going to have a race in LA.
Yes, we're going to talk about this. Yeah, go
No,
on.
I think it was in downtown LA.
Yep.
I was quite excited because I went on a holiday to LA and I went to downtown, and basically the house that I stayed in is only a few minutes drive from downtown. I'm like, oh, what if I just go and visit Formula E? But I don't think it's a great location, as in it might be, but it's really crowded, as
Yeah.
in I can't really imagine where the Formula E track would be.
Yeah.
And considering downtown in LA, it's a pretty crowd. I mean, it's good for the fan, it's good for the marketing, but for the track, I don't know. I can't really visualize where it's gonna be.
So
But
this was
yeah,
this was the conversation like I was having with a couple of people, and I said to Nick right off where I was like, we were expecting LA right to be the opening race, so it was muted, and you're quite right. LA was supposed to be the first race of this season, but talks effectively broke down, right? So for one reason or another, effectively it didn't come to fruition, which was, a bit of a shame for Formula E, I suppose, in that sense, because Los Angeles would have been great, but then they decided to move, obviously, Sao Paulo. So we've got the calendar here, so I might as well show the calendar here. It is on the bottom of the screen as well on the ticker. But so it could have been LA. So we go pre-season testing in early November. Then we've got Sao Paulo, which starts us off on December 7th. Then Mexico, January the 11th, and we got our double header in a new location in Diriyah. So we're going to talk about that. Then we've got a to be confirmed, which Mr. Nick Golden gives us his little idea of what was going to happen on that. Miami in round 6, and we got double header in Monaco for the first time. Tokyo as well becomes a double header. Shanghai in May and June. Then we go back to Jakarta for a single header on June 21st before ending the season with a double header in Berlin and a double header in London. And I suppose the most important thing for me that comes out there is we've lost Italy, right? And like how big is it? Because obviously we tried Rome, right? And then we had the jump with Rome, and obviously the jump didn't work, caused that crash with Sam Bird and so forth. And then we go to Misano, and they try Misano to see if the only circuits would work, but the drivers didn't really like Misano, and I don't know what your thoughts were on Misano too, but I think losing Italy is a big blow, especially considering we've got an Italian manufacturer in Stellantis and in there with Maserati.
No, I think obviously it is a huge deal because I remember just like the race in Italy, everyone's always looking forward to it, and it has always been theirs, and it's always pretty iconic to Formula E, and losing it changes just like, I don't know, it's like you're actually missing one of the races I'm looking forward to as well. So, I mean,
oh, hello, my phone's gone off.
That's fine. But it's also like I'm very excited to see, for example, they have Shanghai now, doubleheader, and they have Miami. I really wanted to see what it's going to look like. And I don't know if I'm mistaken, but is Miami, they're going to use the Formula One circuit?
No, they're not using the Formula One circuit. They're using Homestead Speedway, so it's a 45-minute journey. So we talk about that a little bit later, and we'll come on to that. But yeah, 45-minute journey from, so it's quite a way down south, Miami, but it's not the F1. It would be great if they used the F1. I think a lot of people would have preferred if they could have used the F1 circuit, because obviously then it is more centrally sort of Miami, where the Miami Dolphins Stadium is. But unfortunately, it's a bit lower down, but it's more at a circuit, so it'll be interesting to see what happens there. So what we've got a couple of people that are in chat. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring Nikki first, because I think she was like, get me on first, please. And we'll talk to Nikki, and then we'll talk about the calendar in another moment. Nikki, you are on the FE bar. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you, Jack. How are you?
I'm very well. How have you been?
Just struggling with a few personal problems, but I'm all right otherwise.
Good. That's the main thing. So what would you like to discuss about the calendar?
Well, specifically, where do I start?
Where do you want to start? Talk to me. What excites you? What did you make of it when it was announced? What are you looking forward to?
There's some surprises in there, and I'm a bit shocked that they've took Portland off there, because I thought they were going to keep that on the calendar.
Yeah. I suppose with Portland, I think it was... I get your point, but it does feel like it was used pretty much as like a stopgap, if that makes sense. Like it was just...
And also as well, Jack, there isn't a race in Italy next year as well, which has sort of surprised me too.
Yeah, how do you feel about that?
I'm sort of coming around to the style of racing, that I've always had a thing about it.
Yes, of course, with the peloton style.
I've said to you in the past that, but I think I'm coming to terms with that style of racing, and that is how it's going to be in the future.
Yep, indeed. Indeed.
But what excites me is why they're having two races in Monaco, which really excites me. I think Formula E will be the first motorsport that's actually had two races there. Obviously Miami.
Yeah. What? I suppose.
And obviously
Monaco was really good, and I don't know what you think of into well, Aisha. Like obviously we saw the Formula One race, and it was a bit difficult for them to overtake, and obviously we got Formula E was really good to overtake. But do you think obviously having 2 races in Monaco, do you think that's a good thing, like for Formula E, or is it? Someone said to me that it should be special Monaco, and there should only be 1 race. I don't know what you think, Nikki. And I'll come to Aisha.
I think until it actually happens next year, I can't actually comment on it because I don't know, because there isn't another racing series that's actually driven 2 races there, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's like going into the unknown. It's a first. You know, Monaco's never had a double header in any series of motorsport that I'm aware of.
Yeah.
But with Monaco, what excites me with Formula E more than Formula One is the overtakes and things like that you don't necessarily get in Formula One.
Yeah. Oh, of course.
Yeah, I think
Go
that's
on.
the thing about Monaco. Like, last time, I think the Monaco Grand Prix, a lot of people are just like complaining about how they should remove Monaco from Formula One, which I think is kind of wrong because the race in Monaco has been like that. It has always been just like, there's a lot of drivers who can't really do any overtaking. But in Formula E, it's always fun to see. Like, Formula E is the only sport where you can actually see a lot of actions and a lot of overtakes, and seeing Monaco's doubleheader is really exciting. Yeah, what do you think about it, Nikki?
I'm really looking forward to it, to be fair, just to see how it would work as a double header. I was actually, when I looked at the thingy, I actually thought it was a printing mistake. Like it had been
Yeah.
printed wrong. When I first looked at, Monaco a double header, I'm like, really?
Yeah, they did make
That's
it.
how
They did
it
make
didn't make
it
any sense to me at the beginning when I first saw it, and I thought,
because they told us the date for Monaco quite early on. So they told us the date in terms of
Yeah.
we knew it was on the 3rd. So we knew it was on the 3rd. So when the calendar was announced, like I think it was shocked. But I honestly, like, for me, I think I like the idea of a double Monaco. I know some people argue that it should be special and there should only be 1 race
Well,
there because it's winning the
maybe-
Monaco E-Prix. Like, I am this year's winner of the Monaco E-Prix. Bit like in Formula One, and I think Aisha might agree. Like, that person who wins the Monaco Grand Prix, that they are the Monaco Grand Prix winner this year. Whereas you've got potentially 2 Monaco E-Prix winners this year.
See, I come from an era where I grew up in the 80s, so I grew up around watching Ayrton Senna, for an example, around Monaco and things like that. When Formula One, where Formula One was exciting. I just think over the last couple of years, especially in Monaco, in Formula One, it's not been that exciting. But in Formula E, there's been overtakes, and to me, the Monaco E-Prix has been more exciting for me as an overall motorsport fan, if that makes sense.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I agree.
It's been more exciting to me.
No, yeah, I agree. Monaco has always been exciting, and Formula E, obviously. I mean, you know what really interests me is what Jack is saying, that winning Monaco should be special, but now you got 2 Monaco winners. The idea of that should excite other fans too. But what do you think of it?
But now Jack said it like that, then it's almost like every Formula E race is different, even on a double header. So that, as far as I'm aware, I've never watched a race where, say, for an example, I don't know, Nick Cassidy, for an example, has won 2 races every weekend, and I think that's what will make it exciting in the calendar, especially at the double headers, is that you don't know who's going to win. So one day it could be Nick Cassidy, the next day it could be Robin Freitz or whatever, and I think that's what draws me to it, is the fact that not one race has the same winner.
Yeah, indeed. Nikki, if you were to pick, not knowing what the to be confirmed race is, what would your pick be? What city would you want Formula E to go to on the March the 8th? Oh, it feels like a big question. She's gone quiet. All the cities in the world. Go on.
Because that made me think too. Yeah.
I would actually like Formula E to go back to Cape Town. I like that race last season.
That one, yeah.
Cape Town was good, I must admit. They are in talks, right? So it could be Cape Town. Like, we don't know yet. It's very much unconfirmed. But Cape Town obviously are in talks.
I was actually a bit disappointed when it wasn't on the calendar this year, because I actually like that race.
Yeah, it is a good race, and obviously there's just reasons behind it. I think politically and making sure, because obviously the race in season 9, right, and obviously marred with Antonio Felix da Costa's overtake, like it became, and obviously it's in a really nice backdrop, and to get racing into Africa, I think for Formula E is huge, and if we can get back to Cape Town, I think that's massive.
And also, Jack, I've got a question that you may not be able to answer.
Go on.
Right? My question is, why are we starting season 11 at the end of the year and not in January?
Okay, so I probably can answer this. I think it's just I think it's Formula E's ethos. I think we always, so historically Formula E started back in season 1, season 2. Obviously season 1 we started in September, but like, so it's always been a over 2 year period. It's always supposed to be the 2023-24 season. It's supposed to be 21-22 rather than be just the 2023 season. So I think Formula E have been kind of desperate to kind of get back, and also Formula One though has been extending, I suppose, and obviously they're racing in December, and obviously Sao Paulo is a clash with the final race of the season in Abu Dhabi, but yeah. I think they kind of want to try and take advantage of the month that, well, they're not doing a great job of it in my opinion, but they want to kind of take advantage of that race in December, try and race in December, then race in January, then try and sort of move forward and take advantage. But I don't think they're doing a great job of it, but I think that's what they want to kind of do. And obviously then you've got pre-season testing in November, so it's not as long as a gap from pre-season testing to the start of the season, because if you had pre-season in November, you've still got a 2-month gap till January to when it starts.
Yeah. Okay.
So I think that's the answer to that question, Nikki.
Yeah. Also, I'm looking forward to Miami. I think that's the one I'm looking forward to the most, bar London, obviously, because that's where that's my home race that I actually go to.
Yeah. That's your home race that you'd actually go to?
That I actually go to every year to see.
Okay.
Like, watch.
Oh, okay.
In London,
okay.
So, yeah.
Oh, right then. I got you. I thought you said you were going to Miami there to go and watch. I know you go to all the Miami races. I was like, hold on a second. Natalie's, Nikki, sorry, is flying off to Miami. She's already booked the ticket.
I
wish.
And once give me the money, I'll go. No problem.
Right, Nikki, absolute pleasure to have you on.
All right, mate.
If you want to come back on later, because we've lots of things that we'll discuss. We're going to discuss London in a bit. But if you want to come back on, you're more than welcome to, if you can.
Yeah, it's really nice.
Right, see you in a bit, Nikki.
See you, mate. Bye.
What we're going to do, just a reminder, this is your show, so if you want to, we got the waiting room is filling up. If you would like to have your say on the calendar and what you liked, if you just put !Discord in chat, then Discord will come up. You can come join our Discord. If you're in the Discord and you think, yeah, you know what, I want to have my say, we'll come and have a say and basically come talk to us and let us know what you think of the calendar. We're going to take about two-minute break very quickly, and then we will be back on the other side. We'll see you then. Okay, Aisha, 2 secs. Right, try and find some headphones for me. Right, yeah, try and put some AirPods in, because you... Ooh, that's me, I'm still live. Oops. And we are back. And I'm so silly because I left the mic on, which was a bit silly. But we got loads left my mic on. Thankfully, I turned Aisha's off, but I forgot to turn mine off. But we're back. So we've got quite a few of you in the call. So what we're going to do now is we're going to rattle through. But what I want to start off before we bring you guys in, I really want to talk about London. Right, and I kind of want to ask people about London here in terms of, do Formula E, and I want your opinion on this, Aisha, too, like, do we need London? Because obviously London is going into its last year of its contract, and it was on the calendar with much speculation of it being dropped for Silverstone, right? And obviously those conversations still go on in the background. And also what I find interesting is that, we've lost Misano, and, we had loads of permanent tracks, whereas this time we've got a lot of street tracks more prevalent in the calendar than we did last year. And I'm trying to think, I wonder if Formula E is starting to think maybe street circuits are the wrong way to go, right? Actual circuits the wrong way to go, and maybe listening to the fans and so forth and thinking, So, in that sense, Silverstone looks pretty nailed on at this precise moment to replace London. But Formula E, obviously, like Tokyo, has worked really hard to get these places on the calendar. And I think that Formula E should try hard and try and do something to keep London. Because I think I should, like, the London E-Prix sounds so much nicer to say, right, and so much wow to say than saying the Silverstone E-Prix.
No, yeah. Obviously, but again, it's just like London. I think they've always been like one of them. Like, what do you call it again? It's just that Formula E without London. It's just wrong to me, and I don't know. But like, do you think it's nice to just let go of London and actually replace them with some of the news track, or is it just me?
Well, for me, I think. Formula E is about going to seas, right? Formula E is about going to cities. So to say you're in London is amazing. Like when we were in Rome, like we're upset we've lost Rome, right? And we're upset about losing Rome, right? If we lost Berlin, we'd be upset about losing Berlin. And going to those cities are amazing. And if we've got Tokyo now, and if Formula E outgrow the Tokyo track, for example, for Gen 4, then we've lost Tokyo because for the track reasons, and Tokyo could go down the same route as what Formula E is going down, and that's what could argue with Rome as well. Rome went down that route, and we've lost Rome. But do we think? And I think this for Rome as well, and I'm not saying I'm just being biased here because I'm English and I live in London, but for me, I feel like you race in London, like Tokyo, you've got Tokyo. You should do everything to protect Tokyo and make sure it stays on the calendar. And you should do everything you can to protect London and make sure that stays on the calendar. A bit like when we went to New York, I would have done a lot to maybe try and protect New York and try and keep New York on the calendar. Like, you need these cities which are core to Formula E. And if they keep coming on, jumping here, jumping off, I don't think it's great. I think Formula E, for me, should either find an alternative or just stick with the XL and just accept that the XL is kind of like Formula E's Monaco, whereas Monaco is not like of the Monaco of Formula One, if that makes sense, right? And maybe be brave and do something different, like, and not be scared to maybe mix up the attack modes or something like that. Make something a bit different to make London much more different to another Formula E race, but make it kind of its own special event, just so it fits, just so you stay in London. I don't know what you think.
No, I was thinking it's just that Formula E, obviously, they're on a mission to just like reach as many people as possible, as well as, gaining fans overseas, and for example, like going to Jakarta and actually gaining new fans. But then again, it's like losing just like Italy this year and sticking up for London. Like, what if they just lose London to Italy?
Yep.
And will that make it any different for you? Because I feel like just going to like other places other than the UK, or just like going, outside of their comfort zone and actually like put some of the calendar just like, being their annual venues.
Yep.
I think that's just really exciting to see. But
new venues are great, right? New venues are great, right? I just think Formula E, and I think the teams would say the same, right? You wanted a core race, right? You wanted some core races, core cities, right? That, you know, we can keep going back to, and you go, that's a Formula E track. Oh yeah, Formula E race in London, Formula E race in Tokyo, Formula E race in Rome, Formula E race in New York, and those cities become synonymous with the series, right? I think that's the right word. And yeah, and people sort of, you know, become accustomed to these cities are where Formula E tracks. Whereas if we go and race at Silverstone and then we, you know, yeah, okay, it's great, but it's not, you know, it doesn't become special, I think, for me. It's like, you know, like Shanghai is okay because it's in Shanghai, so, and Mexico is okay because it's in Mexico, but I'm trying to think of a Formula One track where it's like going to the Hockenheim Ring, right? If we went to the Hockenheim Ring in Germany for another Germany Prix, it's not Berlin, right? We'd rather go to Berlin. We'd rather much say the Berlin E-Prix than the Hockenheim E-Prix. And so forth. I feel like it gets that kind of. You could argue the Nürburgring, because the Nürburgring and the Silverstone probably got similar prestige, but that for me, I think a core bout of cities. So should we get some people on? Should we get some people on? Let's get some people on to talk about it. I'm going to get Natalie in, and we're going to try and rattle some of these off. Natalie, welcome to the FE Bar. How are you?
I'm all right. How are you?
Not too bad, not too bad. So we're just talking about London there. Obviously, you can bring up anything else that you want to bring up, but what are your thoughts on London and so forth? Like, is that a key city for you? Should that stay, or are you okay losing it?
I'm not okay losing it, to be honest. But if we have to, we have to.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree with Natalie too. But obviously London is always exciting to see every year. But if you have to like sacrifice London in order to go to like other venues, then it should be fine. I don't know. What do you think, Natalie?
Like I said, if we have to, we have to. But if they replace it with a more accessible track like Donington, for example, or Brands, I'd be more alright with that than if they moved it to Silverstone, which is not the most accessible track for fans.
Yep.
No, yeah.
Yeah, I have to agree. What did you want to talk to us about? Because we kind of also dumped London on you, but what did you want to speak to us about?
Is 6 F1 clashes with the calendar, not including WEC, a bit too much?
So this. What do you think, Aisha? I'll let you lead this one. What do you think? 6 clashes plus we don't know the World Endurance calendar that comes out on Friday. What do you make? What do you make of Formula E clashing with 6 F1 races? Do you think that's a good thing or a bad thing?
I don't know. I think that's obviously a bad thing. Because you know the clash, because World Endurance is always there. I mean, I'm not watching, and I'm only watching, you know, regularly. But you know, clashing races, it means like losing more, you know, the potential to actually watch Formula E and check the sport out. It's just annoying. I remember watching the Canadian Grand Prix, and you know, like in the pub, the second floor is for Formula One, and the first floor is just for cricket.
A 2-floor pub. Hold on, a 2-floor pub. What pub
is this? It is a 2-floor pub, and the first one is somehow like more crowded than Formula One, and they're cricket. And the people upstairs, they're just like, oh, what's actually happening downstairs? I might as well watch cricket, because the Canadian Grand Prix, like, they're just like, oh yeah, that's exciting, but they still have like 40 laps, and then they just switch downstairs to watch cricket, which I don't think is good. You know, any sport that clashes, especially if it's Formula One, World Endurance, and Formula E, like all of them, they're just more sport, and it's not a good thing, honestly. Yeah, no.
For me, I see it as if like if they clash, they clash, right? But for example, you've got Sao Paulo and you've got the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix.
Yeah.
So Abu Dhabi will be earlier than Formula E. So once Abu Dhabi qualifying will be finished, and then you've got Sundays, you've got the race in the evening. So it's kind of like IndyCar. So if you think about the Shanghai, yes, it collided with F1, with Monaco, but it was earlier, right? So it was on the same day, but it was earlier. So I feel for a fan, I think as long as they don't collide. So we've had Formula E races where they're at the same time, right? So being at the same time as an F1 race, I think not good, like terrible. I think, like Aisha said, right? You don't want, because people are going to pick Formula One over Formula E every day of the week, right?
Yeah,
So
and
I don't see them as bad clashes. I think it's just behind the scenes issues, like drivers, sim
Yeah.
drivers, where do they go? But then 9 times out of 10, like Jake Dennis, if there was an F1 clash with like for Sao Paulo, he's going to be in Sao Paulo. He's not going to be doing Red Bull
No.
simulator work that day. So I think that kind of like covers the clashes as long as they're not there. For me, I think as fans we get away with it.
Mm. And the point I've got is, will this attract more Formula One fans, or will it deter them due to the clashes with the sport they possibly love more than Formula E? You know what I mean?
I mean,
Go on.
I
No,
think
go.
you have to be like a very dedicated fan to like watch all of the races all in one day, because I know Pico. So I think I went to Oxford with him, and there was MotoGP and Formula One, and he's just tuning to like all of them, because he is very dedicated, and he actually like he just can't miss those
You can't miss
races.
the race, yeah.
No, but for me, it's like if it has to be MotoGP for Formula One, for example, like I'd go for Formula One and I'll just miss MotoGP just because I have something else later in the day. I mean, it's not a huge problem for the fans, but it still
Yeah.
matters to me. But yeah,
What about you there, Natalie?
It's like Spa next year will clash with London again.
Oh,
F1 and F2.
so that's not great.
Am I going to watch Formula One in the grandstands? No. Will I watch the first 20 minutes of F2 in the queue? Probably.
Yeah.
It depends.
It does
You
indeed.
know?
It does indeed. Right, Natalie, thank you so much for coming on this, because I'm going to try and rattle a few of you because we've got a hefty nick at 9 tonight. So we will catch you later. Again, feel free to come on if there's anything you would like to add in later part of the show.
Will do.
Thank you, Natalie. Have a great evening. Right, I'm now going to just whittle through as many as we possibly can. Get Chris in. Hello, Chris. You're on the FE bar.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm all right. How are you?
Good. What did you want to talk about?
I'm interested to see your opinion on how many double headers there should be in the calendar, and whether there's too many.
Oh, too many double headers. It's a good one. I don't think double headers are a problem. Like, I think Miami should have been a double header. Like, I don't know. What did you? Because Aisha, I don't know.
I mean, I think it depends how many races you want, but I think it's slightly disappointing because you can kind of tell they've put double headers in because they haven't been able to arrange other E-Prix.
So yeah, this was the kind of skeptical look I've kind of taken, and maybe Aisha might take a more celebratory sort of opinion on this, but she might also agree with me. Like, in terms of Tokyo and Monaco have been shoehorned as double headers just to get to the 17 races, if that makes sense. I don't know what your opinion on that is, Aisha.
No, but I agree that Miami should be a doubleheader, because coming all the way to the US, I mean, that I think I remembered just like Formula E mentioning on like how traveling to Jakarta takes a lot of time and it's not very efficient for them. For example, to travel from Monaco straight to Jakarta, and all of the drivers are just tired and they have to adjust their sleeping schedule. So like coming to Miami is a very long way, and I think a doubleheader would be worth it,
Yeah.
It's their first time. Doing a doubleheader is obviously right, and they'll get more fans more engaged because they have two chances, like two opportunities to actually watch and understand what Formula E is.
I think.
What about you, Chris?
Just
See,
go on.
Yeah, I get why people would want this to be a Miami double header, but see, I think they should have kept double headers just for like the start of the season and the end of the season. I think that makes sense, and maybe one other. But I think the question is, would you rather have like 2 Monaco E-Prix or a Monaco E-Prix and a Rome E-Prix?
It's a great question. It's a great question because I can sit here, Chris, and say all the races could be double headers. Every single race could become a double header because we can race both races Saturday, Sunday, 2 days. Because Formula E there's so many double headers now. right? You got Shanghai, you've got Portland. Obviously, Portland's gone, but then Tokyo. So Tokyo, London, Berlin, right? So Diriyah, right? Mexico could easily be a double header. There's nothing stopping Mexico being a double header. I don't understand why it's not a double header. But then you get the idea of making each individual race special. And I get that. I like that idea, like that Monaco E-Prix, like you're the Monaco E-Prix winner, you are the Tokyo E-Prix winner. So are you trying to tell us that you think that the races should be more special, and then in terms of each individual event is more special, rather than then having double headers?
Yeah, I suppose so. And other point, I just think it's nice to go other places.
But then it's hard with the calendar, right? So I
get it's hard to do, and I'm not saying, I'm not blaming them for it mainly. I'm just saying it's a bit disappointing, isn't it?
I am worried. Maybe I should. I don't know what you think. Like in terms of, the calendar's fairly similar. We don't know what the TBC is. It could be Cape Town. It could be a new event, but like it is a bit same, and you kind of want Formula E to kind of maybe add. I know we got Miami, but that kind of replaced Portland, so it's still an American race, right? So we kind of want to go to these different cities. Like, it's amazing that we haven't had a new European event in ages, for example. I know we've done well in Asia with obviously getting Jakarta and keeping Jakarta and it's back and so forth, and I know there's talks of other countries, but like, do you think Formula E kind of needs to just get a couple more cities in the calendar?
I don't know about this, but my opinion, I don't know. I think they actually need to put just stretch it a bit to add more cities. It'll be exciting. I don't know. I like the idea like Formula E is reaching everyone overseas, and they're going to like different continents. It's just really exciting to see, and I'm always really excited to see, like, for example, Cape Town, as we mentioned. Great venues, like great new atmosphere. It's just really exciting. But yeah, I don't know. I generally don't know. Like this, like in this opinion, I'm quite flexible. Like I'm neutral. But yeah, what about you, Chris? Because it's just really exciting to to see Formula E adding new venues each year.
Yeah, I think they're in different places. What's kind of being unique to Formula E in a way, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Throughout its. It felt like there's always been a new something on every calendar.
Yeah, but we don't know yet. We could still get one.
Yeah.
With TBC. We don't know. Again, it could be Cape Town. That's kind of thing. It won't be India. I don't think it's India. I think that's kind of off the table. And it could be a new race. We know we've been talking about Thailand. Jeff Dodds talked about Thailand, but whether or not it's too early for Thailand, that's the other thing. But it could be Thailand.
One final point I want to make,
Go on.
actually. Wait, am I still here? Hello?
You are still here. We may have lost Aisha's camera, but Chris, you're still here. I'm still here. So if you can hear me, you can talk, I hope. Or am I not here? Has everything gone? I feel like I'm streaming by myself. No one's... I've lost Chris. Chris is gone. Aisha is gone. I don't know what's happened. I think we're still streaming. I'm going to just drop Chris down. And so forth. So, sorry for the little technical delays. So what we'll do is we will... Oh, hello. Aisha's back. Hello, your camera's back.
Hi, I can just see me.
Yeah, I can see you. Don't know what happened there. I lost everything.
Yeah, I thought I lost you.
We'll bring Chris back. Chris, can you hear us?
Oh my god.
Hello. Don't know what happened there. That was odd.
We just left Jack for like a
you weren't
second.
speaking. Aisha had disappeared. That was quite funny. So, what was your final thing that you wanted to say? And then we'll I'm gonna jump in.
Me, are you on about?
Yes.
Sorry.
You were talking and then everything stopped. So
yeah, I just got out.
Everything cut out.
I'm glad Misano's gone. I'm glad Portland's gone. I think Formula E might be learning that just about that. The absolutely crazy peloton races aren't the way to go.
Yeah, it looks like that way. Chris, thank you so much for coming on. We're gonna
I know.
try and squeeze a couple more people in, but thanks for coming back.
All right.
All right,
See ya. Bye.
see ya. I'm gonna get Tobias in. Toby. So he is our friend. Toby, you're on the Hello, Toby. You're on the FE bar. Welcome back. Obviously from Formel DE. What did you make of the calendar? And obviously Berlin in July.
Yeah, good evening. Berlin, July. This, I think that will be, yeah, quite hot.
Yes, it was fairly warm in May.
Yeah, absolutely. The problem in Berlin is it's on the former airport and it's absolutely in the sun. The fans don't have much opportunities to be in the shadow, and I don't know if that's a really, really good idea, to be honest. But yeah, Berlin again on the calendar for the 11th season in a row.
Yep.
That's good for us in Germany, of course. But I think it's a place that many people in Formula E like too. It's maybe not the most challenging track.
Yep. Well,
Yeah,
what did you
but,
make of this season's track? Because obviously we had a new track. Like, what was the reaction to the track, do you think?
It was a mixed reaction, I think. The track was designed to have more capacity for more people. Now the fans are on the other side of the track, right to the park. That's outside there where the airport was. In the last years, the fans have been on the side of the building, and there was limited space. So this was the main reason why they switched the sides and had to do a new track. I'm a little bit disappointed, to be honest. There would be so much opportunities to make a really, really special track.
Yep.
Driving through a hangar, for example. Okay, that's
where our media center was, though. So that's a bit of an issue.
Yes, that's a little bit London style.
Yeah.
But yeah, you could make such cool things there, and it's not bad, of course. The racing was really good, better than the old track, but I think they could have done a better job.
I think so too. I think the track was a little bit too short for me. Although I did report from outside. I went and actually try and watch the pelotons with my own race. It was nice flipping from like the turn 6 back to the where the paddock was between those two sections. So once they went past there, then you like run across and peeked over. I was like, oh, here they come, and so forth. That was quite fun. Although I do get your point, because where the old track was, the fan village used to be in the shaded section, right, and underneath the hangar, and obviously the fan village was in the pure sunlight this year. So if it is 35 degrees, for example, they need a lot of umbrellas to try and keep these thousands of fans, I suppose, shaded potentially.
Yeah, probably. The problem is it's the surface. It's getting really hot when the sun is shining on it, and I think many people will sunburn their legs because of the heat that's coming from the bottom.
Yep.
After the sun is shining there the whole day. Don't know if it's really a good idea to have the race in July, but yeah, we have to wait and see, I think.
What do you think? You're from Indonesia, so you're used to the hot.
No, it made me think on like why they put Sao Paulo in December, because I think I remember just talking to Sasha last time. It was 48 degrees in Sao Paulo, if I'm not wrong, and that was extremely hot for the drivers as well, because then Toby, do you remember just like when you're saying that getting burned and 48 degrees? And I think I remember, Jack, you went to Berlin this year, and how was it?
Berlin, it wasn't too hot. It wasn't too hot, but it was nice. Like, you didn't need a jacket, put it that way. But in July, like, they did the 6 races in 9 days in August.
In August, yes.
And I think it was hot then. But you don't know what you get with European weather. That's the only thing, right? But whereas in Jakarta, when you were there, it was 35 degrees plus. like 40 degrees, and the drivers were complaining of the,
No, yeah.
the heat. So, but
remember
that's
as well.
for you. That's standard weather.
The engineers were complaining too because
Yeah.
it was way too hot for the batteries. I remember.
But then
Right.
you get those interesting races like we did in Sao Paulo, where Mitch Evans got the D rate, and then Sam Bird's able to pass. So it can also create some more exciting racing too,
Probably, yeah.
which is really good. Anything else that you would like to add before we let you go? Anything else? Comments on the calendar?
Yes, Homestead is yeah, I don't know if it's better than Portland, but I give it a try, especially because it's part of Miami. Okay, it's a little bit outside, but Miami has a way bigger name in the world than Portland has.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we have to wait and see where the race on March 8th will be.
Yeah.
What is my birthday?
It's your birthday.
Oh,
Yeah, I'd love to spend my birthday in Cape Town, to be honest, but
I think we all would.
unfortunately, I'm quite sure that this
Not the
will
case.
not happen.
Oh.
And
you won't be traveling for your birthday then?
sorry,
You won't be traveling for your birthday then?
why not?
Well, it could be just somewhere else. Just
Yeah, it's,
where do you think it's going to be then? What's the source
Chiang Mai.
saying? You think Shanghai?
Chiang Mai,
Oh, Thailand.
Thailand. Yes.
Thailand. I think that is the potential. I think why it's not on the calendar is because of the track approval stuff yet, and I think they're
Yes,
still going-
I think
they're still
so.
going through
But
that. So Thailand does seem to be the one.
yeah,
that does seem-
we already saw reactions from the politics in Thailand the last months, and so I think it should be there. Unfortunately, not Cape Town. I have been there last year. It
Yeah.
was
You went to
It
Cape
was
Town but for
absolutely
Formula
good.
E? Or
yeah,
What was it like?
stunning. It's
No, yeah.
I'm not able to describe it. The
You have to
media
be
center.
there.
The media center was in the stadium that was built for the Football World Cup.
Yep.
And you went outside of the media center and you were looking right onto the Table Mountain. That was absolutely stunning. And if you turn around, you're looking on the sea. Yeah, absolutely beautiful city. The people there were absolutely lovely. I enjoyed it really, really much. Yeah, but unfortunately,
it's a shame it's not on the calendar.
Absolutely,
it really is.
absolutely.
Because all that hard work to Cape Town and we're not there. Go on, Aisha.
No, yeah, I have a question because you went to Cape Town and I know that it's just somewhere in the middle of the mountains. And did you get to enjoy the view? And yeah, was it different to any of the Formula E races?
it was absolutely different to every city I visited before, I have to say. I went on the Table Mountain, I think, on Thursday before the race, and yeah, you have a really, really great look about the whole city, and yeah, I really, really enjoyed the time there. It was really a fascinating experience. So I hope it will come back in the future.
Yeah, I do too. Toby, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Jack. Thank you,
No
Aisha.
worries. Hopefully I'll see you. Well, I'll see you in London. Fingers crossed.
I think so. I think so.
Think so. I'll see you then. Right. That's
Cheers.
That's Toby from eFormula DE. Amazing. Go check out eFormula DE. Great friends of Formula Reason. Right. We are going to take a bit of a break, but we're not going to take a break because the show's going to carry on. And this time I'm going to turn my mic off because earlier in the day I caught up with our man Nick Golding from Racing News 365, and Nick at 9. He couldn't quite make Nick at 9 today because obviously it's a special show. It's on a Wednesday rather than on a Monday. But he still wanted to give you a Nick at 9. So we've got a pre-recorded Nick at 9 where he goes through the calendar and he gives us all the latest information, which me and Aisha will dissect. And then we will take your calls. So there's still some people in the waiting room. You might have to wait a little bit longer. I do apologise for that. So we've got Nick at 9 coming up right now. So, I think it's Nick at 9. Mr. Golding. Although it's not 9 o'clock,
Hello.
is it? It's a bit early.
It's not. So we've done. What time was it we recorded in Berlin? I can't remember. It was
It was
like Nick
around a
at
similar
5:45 or something.
5:45. It's
It was.
5:50. Yeah.
It's now 5:50. Is this the new? Well, yeah, but it's 6:50, and then if we were in Berlin,
If we were
is
in
this like the new time now? So it's no longer Nick at 9. It's now Nick at whenever Nick's available.
Nick, whenever he's a
Is
busy
that
man.
is that what's happening?
He's a busy man.
It's a busy time of year. It was the summer,
you
isn't it?
keeping yourself well?
I'm ill.
The struggles
Yeah,
continue.
my voice. Yeah, my voice is a bit deeper. And if people see me sucking on something, I've gotten through about 50 lozenges today.
Makes you more
Yeah,
macho, though.
honestly, it was the Canadian Grand Prix that did me over, because for those who don't know, obviously I work for Race News 365 and I also cover F1. And for the company in general, I am the YouTube presenter, host, and all that. And because of the FIA announcing Sergio Perez's penalty at like 2:30 in the morning, I was awake until then to do my post-race video, because as you know, it's impossible to do a video unless you know all the facts, because it's happened before where I've done a video and during the video something gets announced and I miss it, and it's quite embarrassing.
You could have just had a breaking news, like, boo, breaking news.
Oh, funnily enough, we actually gave up in the end, but as we were about to talk about Perez, the penalty was then announced.
Yeah.
We got live reactions. That was good timing. So
that
live reactions with one eye open at that point.
Worked out well. So obviously we're reacting to the calendar, which came out.
Yeah, no F1, Formula E. Hey.
Boom, Formula E. What were your
Hence
thoughts
the
on the
hat.
calendar when it? Yeah, a great hat, by the way.
The calendar.
The calendar. General thoughts before
Well,
we dive
general thoughts.
deep dive into it.
Okay, I won't deep dive then. I'll just give my general overview. Season 11 is 11 cities. I thought that's quite clever. Unless I can't count. I counted 11 cities.
Yep, I think you're 100% right.
I like the cities we're going to. I like the fact that we've changed American venue. I think that's quite important, but I imagine we'll probably discuss that in a little bit.
Yeah.
I like the fact we have London again. How much longer for, I'm not sure, but I'm not going to go too much into that.
We'll check that out.
Jakarta's back obviously as well, which is nice to see. And yeah, my only thing I'm not too happy about is it is very spread out, and a lot of that is due to the fact that we're starting at the start of December again. So we're going back to it being the proper 2024-25, whereas this season's obviously 2023-24, but all the races have been in 2024. So it makes more sense from that point of view, but overall I'm happy with it. It's going to feel weird having 3 or 4 weeks between most races. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I hope the FE bar is still going to have an episode at least every fortnight, because otherwise it's like a monthly FE bar at that point.
I don't know. We can't have monthly FE bars. Look, it would have been a monthly FE bar, but we've managed to sneak in this show to sort of break it up. But anyway, obviously we've got one to be confirmed, and Formula E loves it to be confirmed, right? And obviously a lot of news coming up. Obviously Cape Town, so we've heard they want to come back in the near future. I'm going to assume, I think pretty much all of us are going to assume that India is like 100% off the table at this point, and we aren't going to go back. I know that could be a potential what it could be, or Mr. Nick Golden, could it be a new location?
Obviously, we know it is a new location, because obviously, in a roundtable with Jeff Dodds, he said that the TBD is a new venue. I know Thailand are very, very close. From some sources, it's looking likely. So I think the TBD is Thailand. Do not quote me on that, by the way. So I do not know for definite, but things that I've heard and things I've seen, obviously there has been some stuff leaked as well. I think it's Thailand, but regardless, it's a new venue, which is exciting. That's the most important thing. It's another new place for Formula E.
I think Thailand, if it is Thailand, or again, we're not saying that it is. Obviously, Cape Town, I know, are in obviously discussions, and whether that is for next season or even that to be confirmed date, who knows. But if it is Thailand, I suppose even if it is Cape Town, but Thailand brings some excitement to this calendar, I feel, because it feels very, bar Miami, a bit samey, but I think that injects some life into it, so that could be exciting.
Yeah, the thing with Thailand as well is that people might not realise this, but actually Thailand is rapidly growing in the EV market. So I actually covered it recently when I covered the initial interest, obviously that Thailand showed from the Prime Minister there, and they're going for a massive boom in EV sales. So because of that, it makes perfect sense for Formula E to go there, whilst EV vehicles are suddenly on the massive rise. Thailand are also really interested in Formula One. So there's obviously a lot of money coming from somewhere. But I think it'd be nice to get Thailand on their calendar, and I mean, I'm looking forward to it. The Chiang Mai E-Prix or something. I can't speak Thailandish. But what language do they speak actually? In all fairness,
Don't ask me. Thai.
not
Don't think that's
Thai.
right.
It's Thai. It's Thai. It is Thai.
I
Not
think it's Thai.
Thailandish.
It had to be something simple, right? It had to be something simple.
Listen, I think it's interesting. And obviously, the thing that there's been some really good talks as well, obviously between Jeff and the Prime Minister. So
Yeah, and which he said on our show on the day. He said he
did.
He
I
called
think-
him up.
yeah, so I think if it is Thailand, again, I'm not confirming it is as always. It's to be determined for a reason because there's still a few things to sort. But I think the chances are it's going to come on the calendar at some point, whether that's next year or the year after. And I think it's a massive bonus for Formula E to go somewhere where EV sales are on the rise and clearly there's a bigger interest in EV technology happening. That's the perfect market for us to go to and to showcase how amazing Formula E is, and potentially obviously with the Gen 3.5 cars as well.
Yeah, obviously we've lost Italy, which I think is a huge blow. And obviously, what does this mean for like Maserati potentially, or even Ferrari? Like there was talks of Ferrari. I know
Yeah.
you wrote about it, and
I did.
no
So-
Italy.
Oh.
Is this like a little break stop for them?
No. The thing with Italy as well, and this is really bad, the first thing I thought of was no €4.50 pizzas.
Oh, no €4.
For those who don't know, in Misano, I actually stayed in Misano itself, and I think I was the only person who stayed actually in Misano. Everyone else stayed in the next town up, which is where all the nightlife was. But no, I stayed in Misano because I thought Misano E-Prix, everyone's going to be in Misano. It wasn't the case, but anyways. And I actually walked to the circuit and back every day. Well, except for one day when I got the school bus by accident. But I think I've said that story before. I'm never going to forget that.
Yeah.
And there was this little Italian pizza, proper like pizzeria.
Yeah.
And you walked in, and obviously Misano was massive for his motorbikes, and obviously Valentino Rossi, obviously he's from there. And you walk in, and there was all these classic MotoGP bikes in there, and all these levers and helmets and everything. And it was the biggest fresh pizza I've ever seen. It was €4.50. I got through 5 over the space of 4 days. I was very impressed with myself. But yeah, so I'm going to miss that. Italy's a weird one because, as Jeff has said himself, motorsport in Italy is massive. Not quite so much yet for electric motorsport, which is also the slight problem when there are other countries around the world who are becoming more interested in electric vehicles. So I'm gutted because I love Italy as a country and the weather was lovely. And obviously Misano itself, well, I think we knew from the moment we got there, it wasn't the right track for Formula E. It was very much a stopgap. It's still a circuit I'm very proud to have visited because it's an amazing part of the world. It was quite far from every airport and it wasn't the easiest to get to. But for Maserati, it's a massive blow. And the thing with Ferrari as well is that I don't see, if they were to join Formula E, because it was literally, so far, it's been very small talks from what I've been told. And I can't see them necessarily coming in, potentially maybe for Gen 4.5 or something, because what we need to remember as well is 2026 is a massive year, obviously, for Formula E with, at the end of 2026, you have the introduction of Gen 4. At the start of 2026 in F1, you'll have the introduction of the new power unit regulations, which will be 50% obviously internal combustion, 50% electric. So they're having a massive change. For Ferrari, if they were to say, for example, coming for Gen 4, that's then 2 brand new power units, 2 brand new cars effectively for the same year. And despite the fact it's Ferrari, that's massively expensive. So Italy is a massive loss. I hope we go back there one day, and I think we probably will. When? Who knows? But yeah, it's just motorsport just seems to belong in Italy, and the fact we're not there feels like a massive loss. But hopefully, the venues that are taking its place can make up for it.
Yeah, indeed. I think it's a big shame because obviously, in terms of European races now, it's just Monaco, Berlin, and London, which is a bit of a shame.
And they're not even together.
Yeah,
and they're not even together.
not
That's a
even
big thing as
together.
well.
So
And that was the amazing thing for a lot of fans is that you had obviously this year you had the doubleheader Misano,
Yep.
2-week break, and obviously it was Monaco, 2-week break, the Berlin doubleheader. So for a lot of fans, it was then quite easy to manage. Whereas now it's Monaco, obviously at the start of May for a doubleheader.
Yeah.
Then you've got Berlin and London
in
at the
July.
end of July. So it could work both ways. It could work in FE's favour because then the European races are spread out, so fans can manage costs easier.
Yeah.
it's we'll see. 'Cause I imagine flying to Berlin in July is probably quite spenny.
Yeah, well, it was spending whenever we went in
It
May,
was, well,
so
it was, yeah,
so
me.
we'll see what it was
That was
like.
that was mainly because of Eurovision.
Yeah, up the Eurovision.
But are we talking about the flight bill or the alcohol bill?
Both. But no, the
Yeah,
alcohol bill wasn't too bad.
It was
It was expensive.
It weren't actually. It weren't.
Weren't too bad. Weren't too bad. Miami though. I think a bit of a punt this one. For me, mainly because the location. And I think for me, when I actually looked at where the Homestead Speedway was, and it's 45 miles away from the actual Miami airport, and I'm thinking we're only there for one race. It's not like we're there for two races, and I'm like, in terms of getting people to Miami, and not everyone turns up for practice and qualifying in the morning, so effectively you're paying whatever the ticket price is for a 45-minute race, and you've got to travel all that way to Miami for 45 minutes. I just didn't. For me, when I put my brain fan hat on, I was like, it's not worth it. Why would I do that? So I think it's great that we are in Miami, and I think it's a nice location. It's a great city to say it's on our calendar. But I'm scared that we'll have empty grandstands because people might think like me and think, oh, why would I do that?
I think it makes sense.
Go on.
I'm going to be completely honest. I think Portland. The moment Portland came on the calendar, I think a lot of us looked at each other and thinking, what? This is a bit different. And obviously the races fans loved it actually, and it was a really good turnout. There's a lot of IndyCar fans there. So the double header in a couple of weeks will probably work quite well. But I think Formula E for me needs a permanent American home.
Yeah.
The same way obviously in Germany you got Berlin, in China we can see Shanghai potentially coming like a permanent home. I think America, given how big EV vehicles are in America and how, America is very much on a kind of motorsport boom in general, I think having a permanent home makes, whether this will be permanent or not, I don't know. But I think to have somewhere like Miami where we know with F1, the 2024 Miami Grand Prix saw, record attendance.
Yeah.
So motorsport in Miami is obviously, not doing badly, it's doing well. I also think the venue as well is quite a clever pick because it's the fact we'll be using the road course effectively.
Yes.
So that will be also the circuit that's on the infield, and I'm pretty sure based on the layout, it's an effect for like half the speedway.
Yeah.
I think that would be quite cool because that will, especially in qualifying, really showcase the Gen 3.5 technology, and most importantly, the acceleration, the top speed, which we don't get to see too much with the current circuits we have. So I'm kind of in favour of it. Yes, it's going to be difficult to get to potentially, but I think a double header I would like to have seen. I think that would have made a bit more sense, but it's one of those where NASCAR have been there loads, IndyCar used to go there loads, so and they were so it's a circuit which fans will know well out there. And the good thing I think is if it's safe, let's say for example, and this is the big reason why I think FE needs a permanent American home. Where fans will then recognise a venue or see a venue and instantly think of Formula E. When Formula E's in town and stuff, whereas I don't think we've ever really had that. Maybe New York a little bit, not quite so much. So I think it will make sense. Whether the fans get there, I think it's the big thing. I think, to be honest, it's I think people will make the effort. I think Formula E is big enough in America that it will do well.
I hope so too. Honestly, I do, because I fully agree with you. We need to find a permanent home in America. Where that is, I don't know. And it's got all the hallmarks to be. If you look at the track, right? If it's an infield track, so it's there's a chance it could be a peloton style race, depending. But we don't know how the Gen 3 Evo car is going to work yet.
And the thing as well, though, that we should point out is actually the Homestead Miami Speedway is going to be one of the only permanent circuits on the calendar, because obviously all of a sudden, after having a massive boom of permanent tracks this year, season is less than 25% on the calendar is permanent circuits. So actually, it's going to then offer something really different, because we're not going to see these kind of tracks as often. Formula E is that the fans have been listened to, and the sport is going back to street circuits more, or semi-purpose-built venues. So I think from that point of view, it's going to make then Miami even more attractive, because where there's not going to be many normal circuits, it's going to offer then a bigger and potentially different spectacle.
100%. Let's talk about Diriyah very quickly, because obviously Diriyah, new location, right? Obviously you were in.
Sorry about the hat.
Yep. and your little thing at the back as well.
Yeah,
Yeah,
hold on.
there is.
Yeah, that one.
Perfect.
That was
one.
from the
Perfect.
Prince out there. Yeah.
Lovely jubbly. But was there any rumblings that? Because I thought, and a lot of the drivers say that's one of the best Formula E racetracks. The problem was you couldn't get any fans to it. Was there any rumbling when you were there in Saudi Arabia that this was the last season at that track?
So I'll be honest, this is the first I've heard the fact that we're going to a new venue. And the thing is that it does make sense because the circuit itself, you're right, over for qualifying, the drivers absolutely love it. However, the issue is, particularly since the introduction of Gen 3, you'd imagine it'll be the same for Gen 3.5 given it's the same aero package. Then it just doesn't give good racing. Unfortunately, overtaking is too difficult when a lot of times race attempts for overtakes, there's just contact. So, because you look at the season and the first 3 rounds, Mexico, and then the 2 races in Diriyah earlier this year, they weren't good. If we're being completely honest. The thing is that the thing with the fan argument is, so there was the thing with Amazing of Diriyah, there was a huge concert afterwards after both races, and you would honestly think you wouldn't even realise that Formula E had been there.
Yeah.
You could think it was just a normal concert because it was that busy. It was one of the busiest concert venues I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
So I think there's definitely interest there quite clearly.
100%.
It would make sense given that I doubt Diriyah gets a lot of motorsport, but I think if we can get a new venue that's then obviously, which we are getting, which will offer better racing, then that's a win-win because it keeps the sport in Diriyah. It is actually a really interesting part of the world as well, a lot of heritage around there, and the fans clearly like it. So the big thing is offering better racing because I don't think we can have, and this is what I think is really smart with having Sao Paulo as a season opener, is that we know Sao Paulo will be a good race.
Yeah.
Been there twice, and both years,
it's been good.
It's been up there for race of the season. For me, Sao Paulo this year is probably still the race of the year. And last year was me narrowly beaten by Cape Town. So even if it's not necessarily a good race, Formula E has that buffer of knowing, okay, at least the season opener is going to be exciting. And obviously, Diriyah, we can then take a bit more of a gamble and just hope that the venue does work. So, and the thing with Formula E is we like taking gambles. If it works, fantastic. If it doesn't work, then we've not lost anything because Diriyah doesn't, the UNESCO World Heritage Site anyway that we used didn't offer the best racing for the current cars we've got.
Indeed. I want to talk Gen 4 and in terms of the future of Formula E.
Gen 4? This is a calendar.
I know, but I want to talk calendar with Gen 4 because obviously, Formula E, thinking of for the future and maybe trialing different venues and street tracks for the future, and if these cars are going to get faster, is it wrong to suggest that Formula E should be looking at some of the F1 street tracks like Singapore, Albert Park, the Gilles Villeneuve circuit that's just happening in Canada? Is that something that they should be trying to look at or try and create racetracks in cities that are like that? But then my problem is that, does Formula E, do you think, have the commercial value? Is there enough interest from cities to build an F1 style track in their city rather than a little like Tokyo in a harbour or in a place like that?
Firstly, if anyone could hear me crunching, then I'm really sorry. It got to the point of the lozenge where it's so small, it just doesn't do anything, so you have to then crunch it. So apologies if anyone heard that. Yes, I think we have. Formula E has interest from 7 or 8 American cities wanting to host the sport. We quite clearly have interest. The fact that obviously there's even places in Asia that are wanting races. So the interest isn't the problem. And I think we do have the commercial value. The issue is going to be, and it's so difficult to predict because we don't know yet what the Gen 4 cars are going to look like. We don't know how they're going to perform. We don't know what the style of racing it's going to be. It could be a completely different style of racing to what Gen 3 has offered. Gen 3.5 could be a little bit different. I think it's going to be quite similar. But it's every generation of Formula E has offered something different. I think it's impossible to predict what style of venue is going to suit Gen 4. It could well be, given the fact that the acceleration will get faster, the top speed be even higher. Well, be that street circuits just don't even work for it. It may be that the cars could be too quick, for that to happen. Or on the flip side, it could be that actually Gen 4 doesn't work on permanent circuits and is better off on the streets. I think for Formula E in general, I even put a tweet on it, which actually did quite good views. I was quite proud of it. That watching the Canadian Yeah, I know. You tried to get on my what's the word?
On wavelength, or is that the way right?
I was going to say cred, but that's not right.
Uh,
Although I have no cred, I have no street cred.
yeah, nor do I, to be honest. But anyway,
Look
Yeah.
what I'm wearing. Not the hat. The hat's amazing. This gets me lots of cred. Lovely
Yep.
Formula E. For me, the circuit is Gilles Villeneuve, of somewhere like that, where it's a semi-permanent circuit, but as a mixture of fast sections, but actually 2 or 3 really heavy braking zones where regen would be possible,
Yeah.
as well as for us what would probably be medium to slow speed chicanes. That could work really, really well because it's not a street track as such, but at the same time, it's then not a permanent circuit. So there's not the runoff, for example, like we'll see, we saw in Shanghai or in Berlin if there's a mistake.
Yeah.
Or in Portland. If you make a mistake in the Canadian Grand Prix, the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve,
You're in
you
the
end up in the wall.
Or you're
Unless it's at the
traveling through the
hairpin.
grass. Yeah.
And literally, so that then makes it, I think it's those kind of venues. And Albert Park's another one. I don't think that would ever happen, but I think that kind of style of circuit in general will probably suit any spec of Formula E car.
Yeah.
Because it's got that element of it's a track where it is still risk-free reward, whilst at the same time it doesn't have necessarily the kind of bumpy surface like, for example, a London.
Yeah.
It's. I think it could work again with Gen 4. Like I said, it's difficult to predict because we've not seen how the cars perform. The ones who are probably best to ask is, it's. Ask me again when we've seen what the Gen 4 looks like, and I'll give you a better answer, basically.
Well, I think Formula E need to know though before Gen 4 happens.
Yeah.
What kind of track they
I
need.
think we will,
Right.
because simulate it won't be long, and it could already be happening. I don't know, but
'Cause it's only 2
simulations
years
could
away,
already be going on. Exactly, and the fact that obviously in F1 they're already doing sim testing for 2026, so it could be that there's some sim work going on already. I would have thought so because I'm pretty sure we find out what it's
Yeah.
going to look like soon. So it's one of those things. I think it's going to be a new era of the sport. So some gambles, some risks will have to be taken just to try and work out what happens, because that way we can then fine tune the calendar going forwards. But by that point, we could be having Jeff said that we could have a maximum of 20 races come Gen 4. So it's that then offers up, that could be, for example, 12 cities and say 6 double headers. I don't know if my maths is right on that. But so it's Formula E has so much it can play with, and that works massively in its favour, because you look at F1 where you've got now they're going to go to 50% electrical energy. Who knows how that's going to work for them? That could be a massive gamble. And a lot of the things from the F1 drivers is that they're not looking forward to their regs coming up in 2026 because the car's going to get slower. Formula E, despite the fact the car will probably be heavier, it's only going to get faster as we're increasing the power of the battery and understanding more of the technology. So I think it's an exciting time, I'll be honest, because there is so much unknown. But as we've always seen the case, Formula E has so many directions it can go in at the same time, though.
Indeed. And then just finally, just to finish up, Nick, at 9.
Finally, so fun.
I know, we're having lots of fun. Obviously, you've done a piece. There's
Hi,
a
Pico.
couple. Yes.
Sorry. How are you?
I'm sure he's fine. Clashes with F1. Obviously, you did a little report about it. We've got a couple of clashes with F1. Is that a good thing for Formula E? Because I was chatting to you before, and I was like, I don't consider it a clash if the race time is a different time. So, say for example, like Miami and Bahrain will collide, but Miami will be much later than Bahrain. So, in terms of for a fan watching it on TV, best of both worlds, you can watch the F1, and then later you watch Formula E. Happy days. But is that an actual issue to having that many clashes with Formula One?
So, and this is something I imagine on the show tonight you'll probably get lots of people saying, and I'd be really intrigued to know what the viewers think. Hello to you all. Hi guys. I think it works. Of course, in any world, it's not ideal, but as I was told today by Formula E, calendars across the world, not just in F1 and F3, are increasing. Every series is wanting more races. As the championships increase the number of races, there's going to naturally be clashes. It's going to happen. There's no way you can avoid it. Yes, I think I would have liked to have seen Formula E make more use of the months where there's no F1, obviously, so during the winter. But at the same time, with set cities, there's only a handful of dates, if max, you can play with. So a lot of it is then taken out of F1's control. But I don't think it's a bad thing. In all fairness, obviously, you've got the first clash will be the season opener for us in Sao Paulo, and the F1 season finale in Abu Dhabi. So completely different time zones, and I think that works really well in Formula E's favour. Because I remember a few weeks ago with the Shanghai Prix and Monaco, you had Shanghai in the morning, then you had what race was it?
Monaco Grand Prix, and then we had
There was a race. There was Formula E. Then there was Formula E, but then there was MotoGP.
Oh,
Can't remember what race now. So there was FE, MotoGP, F1, then the Indy 500. Then you had the NASCAR Coke 600, and obviously as well you had in the UK the British touring cars.
Yeah.
That's one of those days. Obviously I was working for the day anyway, but that's one day I wish I was a motorsport, just a fan.
Yeah.
And not working in the industry, because you could literally have, if you'd missed qualifying for Formula E, and I wouldn't blame you, that was quite early, but you could literally have gotten up for the FE race at, 8 a.m. UK time, and have watched motorsport quite literally almost every single second throughout that day until the early hours of the morning. That's so rare, and with having the F1 FE clashes, it's an interesting one, because obviously there is, with the exception being London next year and the Belgian Grand Prix, time zone wise, they're obviously only going to be 1 hour between, so that's really similar. But you'd imagine that FE will do the same, where we'll just start our race 3 hours later at 5 p.m. or something. So that's not too big a deal. Anything. So it's one of those that I think it works well, because there's going to be fans naturally. I think F1 fans, not just not FE fans, but F1 fans who next season, given the whole thing of the Gen 3.5 being the fastest accelerating car, the fastest accelerating FIA single seater ever. 1.82 seconds is mad, and I think F1 fans are going to be really intrigued to see that. So it wouldn't surprise me if a lot of people will tune into the F1 or the FE, whichever's first, and then, like you said, then watch the other. And I think part of that would be to see the technology comparisons, to see the acceleration in general. I reckon Sao Paulo will do huge views, because obviously that will be after the 3 or 4 hours after the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. 6 hours after, my bad. So it makes sense. Obviously, the only thing it won't make sense is if views turn out doing quite badly. If people think, I won't watch FE, I'll just come home for the F1 or something. I think it works, and if we go to 20 races in 2026, 2027, then there could end up being 8 or 9 clashes. So 6 is a lot, but I don't think, as I wrote in an article, or check it out on racenews365.com, I think it works. In all fairness, I don't think it's something to be worried about. But I'd be really intrigued to know what the viewers think, and obviously put it in the YouTube comments, and I always go through it all as well, even when I'm not available, or if it needs to be DM me on Twitter or something, so I'll be really intrigued for your thoughts on that. I think it's an interesting topic, to speak of the clashes.
I agree. Nick, we've run out of time. It's been a great Nick at 9 at 6:18 or 5:50. Yeah, I know it's sad, but
has Pico got any questions?
I don't know.
He could say anything now, so I'm going to give Pico 5 seconds to ask a question. I'm going to give an answer. Okay. Right. So Pico's answering a question right now. Okay. I'll be honest, Pico. I don't know. But I think if you say yes, I say yes, and I agree with you.
Lovely stuff, Lee. We'll leave Nick at 9 at that. Thank you so much, Nick, and we'll see you again soon. Hopefully. Really soon. Special announcement later, right?
Whoa.
So hopefully, never know. Maybe.
I wonder what it is.
Who knows? Right? Question marks.
Who knows?
Right. We'll see you later.
Okay. See you later, all. Bye, guys.
And we are back after Nick at 9. Oh, yes, it was pre-recorded. Yes, well done, chat. Yeah, it was. He couldn't make it, but he really, really, really wanted to be on the show. And he thought Pico was co-hosting. So whoever's doing the Nick struggles, he didn't know who's co-hosting. We've got the lovely Aisha with us. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna pretty much run straight into your calls, because we still got a couple of you. And if you would like to come on and have your say, so what's gonna happen now? We're probably gonna take half an hour straight with a special announcement. At about 15 minutes time, we're going to announce our special announcement. We'll keep taking your calls up till 10 o'clock. Then we've got another special guest, which is pre-recorded as well, because Jack Smith from Motorsport Week wanted to come on, but he couldn't make it as well. So he wanted to come on. He has his little say on the calendar as well. So if you want to stay for that, and then me and Aisha will wrap up the show after that. And it's been a good show, and it's great to have any of you on. And again, if you want to come on please do so. We'll have a little bit of stoppage time, a little bit of it's Euros football talk, a little bit of stoppage time, a little bit of extra time. No penalties though. Hopefully we solve everything before penalties. But Aisha, let's get some people into the chat. They're all playing Gartech phone in the chat, but I'm gonna have to take them away from that because I'm going to get Blake in. Blake, welcome to the FE bar. Sorry to take you away from Gartech phone, but you're on the FE bar. What would you like to talk about the calendar?
I wasn't expecting the calendar, to be honest. I wasn't expecting Miami. That was the one that caught me out. When I actually read it, I was like, Miami. Wait, what the hell? Because at first I was like, are they really going to use the clock shot? But no, they're using the Home Speed Motor Speedway that used to host the finale for NASCAR from what is it, from the early 2000s to 2015? Or was it 2017? I forgot already.
I don't know about NASCAR. I know IndyCar was like 2010-ish, but don't quote me on NASCAR. Blake, you still there?
But
there you go. Thank you. We can hear you.
Yeah, I'm still here. I'm still here. I'm alive and kicking. I'm alive. I'm still kicking.
Splendid. But yeah, no, it was a surprise. Are you looking forward to it? Like in terms of it being maybe a potential peloton track, but and what do you think of it being so far away from the city? I suppose
it's an interesting choice, but it kind of defeats the purpose of what Formula E is trying to do. But there is an argument that says, the Gen 3 is faster than the Gen 3 Evo is faster than the last generations, like Gen 1, Gen 2, and so on and so forth. But it kind of defeats the purpose of Formula E bringing the race to the people, But it is what it is, though. But I'm interested in how it pans out. But I think one of the layouts that they suggested is they have less straights, and it's more likely to be less peloton like. But really, to solve the peloton racing, we need the extra. We need the. What's the power? What's that pit stop?
Attack charge.
Yeah, attack charge. If attack charge gets introduced, it will solve it probably won't solve the peloton style racing that us fans love to hate if you're chaotic.
Yes, very, very, very true. Aisha, have you got any comments around Miami for Blake?
No, yeah, because when Blake jumped in, I'm just guessing that, he's pretty excited about Miami because everyone's reaction is just the same, oh, Miami. And when I first saw it as well, I thought they're going to Formula Day down. And considering the location, from scale of 1 to 10, do you want to travel there to Miami if you have the chance to do it?
Maybe Blake, let's put it this way, right? So let's say you live not for Orlando, right? You live in Orlando in America, right? Imagine, right? Miami, right? But you get to Miami, then you've still got to travel 2 hours or an hour and a half to get to the track. Would you do it?
No, yeah, something like that. Because I'm not really.
Problem is with me, I would do anything to go to a racing event. So that goes. But if I was just a normal dude, I would probably look for races in my area, which is closest to me. So,
Well, I suppose if you're in Orlando, I suppose Miami is the closest race to you.
Yeah.
But I get your point though, is that if you're a racing fan, you'll still travel to anyway. Even though, that's the point we were trying to get at, I suppose.
Yeah.
Because obviously it is a way. Would you have preferred them? I know it's the F1 track, but do you think they should have tried maybe to get the F1 track, or maybe had conversations to try and use the F1 track, or do you think Homestead was probably the best of the bunch?
I think Homestead was the best option. You can't go to Daytona because the banking's massive. You can't go to Sebring because it's bumpy as hell. As much as it's a good track, it's bumpy and it will unsettle the cars, and it will probably might break the drivers' backs. And the worst part is the third sector is wide, which is just begging for peloton racing. So I think Homestead Miami was literally the best option that Formula E could have got, in my personal opinion.
Perfect. Any other things around the calendar you'd like to discuss? What do you make on London? Do you think I want to talk about this with people? is London important for Formula E? Like, we could be in a situation
Yeah.
where we react to the calendar next season, and London is not on the calendar in stage for Silverstone. Like, should Formula E do everything they possibly can to keep London, or are we okay with losing it?
It depends on perspective, though. It
Okay.
really depends on perspective. But like, if you're just a normal person, I think a Formula E race near you will be perfect because you know the racing may not be the best. It's like it's like F1's Monaco.
Yep.
That's the best way to describe it. London is literally F1's Monaco because well, it's the climax of the season and it's literally closest to any of the city centres that we've been so far in ever.
Yep. Oh.
So discussion about London is that I
think
mean I
we've
don't
lost
know.
Blake slightly. I don't know if he might pop back in.
I'm still here.
You still,
I'm
if you
still
stop
here.
talking, okay. I thought you were midway through your sentence and we lost you. We weren't
yeah.
100% sure. We weren't
Sorry.
100% sure if we got your connection. That's the beauty of the internet. Did you have anything more to say? We kind of lost you a little bit. Do you want to make your point again?
No, yeah, please do.
And then we're
Like,
back.
are you
Oh, we feel
I
like-
said-
Here we
Well,
go. Here we go.
I was okay. So
We've
I was
got
about
you.
to say was that. Okay, I said FE. London is literally FE's Monaco. Even though the racing will not be the greatest, it will bring in the most people because considering London is near the city centre, and also there is a transportation.
Yeah.
Because there's transportation due to the underground.
Yeah, that's the main thing. Like, even like, so like, you know, if I was based in Manchester, or if I was based in Birmingham, or there is a direct, or Liverpool, I can get from one place to in a couple of hours to London, and you know there will be train routes out quite quickly. So whereas if we go to a Silverstone, if we go to a Brands Hatch, if we go to a Donington, that becomes much harder.
I'm sorry to counterpoint,
Go
but
on.
but Donington Park is honestly the best place for organisation because one, there is an airport, and two, there is a DHL facility right near the track. So if FE's gonna end up doing a permanent circuit around the UK, I think Donington has to be the best one. But seriously, I do not consider Donington to be. I don't see Donington coming on the calendar anytime soon.
No,
so
but it would be a homage because obviously that's where
Yeah.
Formula restarted.
I think it'll be a good homage race if you actually want to put it as that, but still.
No, really interesting. Blake, thank you so much for waiting around because I know you've been in the waiting room for a while. And thank you so much for coming on the show. It means the world.
Thank you.
No worries. Talk to you soon. And remember, a special announcement, 9:45. Don't go anywhere.
All right.
So, I'm going to get Chester in. Hello, Chester. Can you hear us?
Yes.
Hello, welcome to the show. I really wanted to talk to you actually because obviously we just talked about Miami there, and I wanted to ask you about the Miami race because obviously you're from the United States, obviously quite away from Miami, but I was interested in the American way of thinking for racing because for me, we were discussing earlier that we were surprised that Miami wasn't a double header, and because. Well, it could be. It's on a circuit, so there's no reason why it could be. But it's quite a distance away from the main city centre of Miami. And most people don't get to the track for practice and qualifying, so they mainly pay and they see the 45-minute race. Do you expect people to travel to Miami to then travel 2 hours to Homestead Speedway to watch a race? I want to know what you think as an American, if most American motorsport fans would do something like that.
For most races, yeah, Formula E now.
For Formula E, no. Is that because Formula E still, even though it is growing, it's still in its infancy and it hasn't got, so if it's not got the pedigree in America of Formula One, NASCAR and IndyCar?
Yeah, no, it's just not big enough here.
See, that's my worry. That's my worry. What do you think, Aisha? Like that's my worry for Miami is that the American fans, there's not the New York. There was great appeal. Like, and I think Chester, you said you went to a New York E-Prix.
Yes,
Oh,
I
yeah.
did.
And it was quite packed, and there was a lot of people there. What's your thoughts, Aisha?
No, that's
I don't
the
know.
thing.
Formula E is
Oh,
just not big here. Oh,
Yeah.
sorry. Formula E is just not big here. Obviously, if you have a NASCAR event there or whatever, and even I think Indy a long time ago went to Homestead. Obviously, those are bigger events that are based here in America
Yep.
that people know much more. They know a lot more of the drivers. There's a bit of driver crossover too. You saw that with
Yep.
Kyle Larson at the Indy 500. Some of them cross over for some races, not all the time though. But yeah, for Formula E, I just don't think it's big enough. If anything, it should probably. If anything, I think it should have just probably found a street circuit. Honestly, Long Beach, California.
Well, Long Beach we went to in season 1. Aisha, do you have anything to add?
no, yeah, because I wanted to ask Chester about that too, because I know that you said Formula E is growing, but it's just that it's always a thing with Formula E that I've been mentioning that is trying to get as many people as possible overseas, as it's starting to like get the heart of the people in Jakarta, like Indonesian, they're starting to like pay attention to Formula E and actually discovering the sport. But in the US, they actually offer lots of like other racing series, and how Formula E is going there. Like, do people know about just like what Formula E is like as a sport? Because I just know that the US is pretty big on their own scene. And yeah, and I know that you're from the US, so how did that went for you, Chester?
Uh, Straight up, just no one knows about Formula E that much. For the
So,
past 5 years, I've seen more like people like in public. I've seen more people wear F1 merch.
yeah.
No one wears Formula E merch. I've seen people wear IMSA merch. I've seen like one guy down when I went to Florida once wear like an IMSA team shirt. It was like a Sealmaster Jet shirt, but I've like it's just not big enough here. Here, I think.
So,
If anything, I feel it would have been a better idea to probably. I know Formula E wants to be its own thing, but be like a
Mhm.
support race, but not the series. Kind of how IndyCar and IMSA do Long Beach,
yeah.
where IMSA will do the 2 hour race, and then IndyCar on the next day will do their race.
No, but talking about the calendar, do you think if Formula E is actually going to have a race in downtown, which is in LA, and I know that a lot of tourists just come to downtown, do you think like they'll actually have more fans and more viewers? Because that's just a really interesting take.
Probably, yeah, because it's a city center. It's
Yeah.
more people and everything. Also, I don't know. It's cool. I find it cool that FE's going to an oval. It's going to a pretty well established track in the US.
Yeah.
It's only really gone to street circuits in the States, besides last year at Portland when they first
Yeah.
went there. But I don't know. I just can't see many people going out. Like Portland's like in a pretty decent area. Like it's not too far from most things. My Homestead Miami's like out there.
Yeah.
If anything, they could have gone to Daytona. They could have gone to a much shorter oval
Yeah.
or one that has a better near a better population center, or just another
Yeah.
American track near more airports on the
Yeah,
East Coast.
it's interesting. Do you think I was talking about this earlier? Like with IndyCar, right? You've got Detroit, right, and that's a street race. There's tons of street races right around St. Petersburg and so forth. There's loads around, right? Because IndyCar race on quite a few street circuits. Do you think Formula E should try and aim to race on one of these more established street races that are already in America? And maybe do it. I agree with you. I think doing it at a similar time or even a week before IndyCar, or around the same time as IndyCar. Do you think that would be a better solution to try and get fans around and fans involved?
Yeah, I just don't think Formula E is big enough, and I don't even think it really has really the big appeal to most American motorsports fans, just because we have so many options to choose from
Yeah.
for motorsports. You have NASCAR, IndyCar, IMSA. You basically have open wheel endurance and closed cockpit racing just already fulfills all this
Yeah.
fulfills the need
Well,
between the three main
the
series.
good news is that there are a lot of American cities that are interested in Formula E. It's just whether or not, like we had said, we had LA. LA was muted to be the start of this season's campaign. It's just talks fell through earlier in the year, and to have LA, but obviously they've gone away from LA and they've obviously started talking to Miami. So once LA broke down, they've started the conversation with Miami, and we've managed to get a race in Miami. So, which is really interesting. But I love your take because it's kind of the same take I have, as where I say Formula E is growing, right? And you know how in Formula E they say, oh, we're growing here and we're growing here, but it doesn't feel like we're growing, right? If that makes sense. And it's interesting to see that in America that you feel currently the same way.
Yeah. Like if you gave the average motorsport fan here the option to go to a Formula E race or an IndyCar race, it'd probably go to an IndyCar race because an
Of
IndyCar
course.
race it's unlike F1, it's still affordable.
Yeah.
Miami tickets are expensive. Most IndyCar races, even IMSA races, you can get full paddock access. Even some of the bigger events are around $100, like $150.
Yeah, it's not too bad. That's not too bad. I know we swarmed you because I really wanted to talk to you, and I was really happy that I just want to talk to you about the America, Miami. Was there anything else that you wanted to talk about on the calendar?
I guess I don't have the calendar pulled up, so I don't really remember it, right?
No, that's fine. No, but Chester, honestly, really, really good insight and nice to know. And it's also really interesting to hear your views. So thank you so much for coming on the show. I really appreciate it.
That's one thing. I don't know why there's so many double headers. It feels like there's a lot of double headers.
Yeah, well, we had this conversation earlier with the double headers. Do you think? I don't mind. I think like every race could be a double header because the way the Formula E are going at the moment, racing on a Saturday and a Sunday, it's like, okay, it's just a weekend, so it's a weekend event. Might as well have 2 races if you're going to. But then does that mean? But do you see like it should just be 1 race in, bam, done? Like make that race special. Like why are you against double headers?
I don't know. I feel there just could be more track variety. I just feel it's a bit lazy to go to the same track. I'm not against double headers. I think they're fun.
Yeah.
But having Monaco twice just kind of, I don't know. That's like imagine like I don't know Le Mans happening twice or having the Indy 500 happening twice.
Yeah.
Or F1 having Monaco twice. It's supposed to be like the historic circuit legacy, and then you just having it twice because it makes good racing, I guess. But for FE, but still.
Yeah, I think Formula E. My cynical view is that they wanted 17 races, so they chuck in a couple of double headers to try and get it to 17 races, so they can have the biggest calendar potentially. But yeah. But I agree with you. Right, Chester, though, really big because we're about to announce our special announcement. So let's get on with that. Chester, thank you so much for coming on, and I'll drop you back into the waiting room. Okay, then. We promised. It said it's at 9:45. We've still got 2 more callers. So this is it. Special announcement time. And it's a big one, chat. It's a big one, chat. So, we've had some live guests before, right? We've had Jeff Dodds. We have had Tom Brooks. Tom Brooks has come on. And we had Mark Preston. So now, chat, we have another special guest announcement that is going to be live on the FE bar. Not tonight, but next week. And the person is, drum roll please. Should have paid for a sound clip. We will be joined next week by
Frederick Bertrand.
Frederick Bertrand from Mahindra Racing. So Frederick Bertrand will be on the show live next Tuesday from an earlier start time of 7 p.m. and he'll be taking all of your questions. I've spoken to him. He cannot wait to answer your questions, right? So he will be with us next Tuesday at 7 p.m. So Frederick Bertrand from Mahindra Racing. So get your questions ready because he's happy to answer any questions, right? About Formula E. So Frederick Bertrand will be on. So that is our big announcement. How big is that? Like team principal of Formula E team on the show next week, Aisha.
Even I got excited, and I know that in Indonesia. One just like fan account, and he's been like waiting for it, like because he saw the last FE board and it was amazing. Now we have Frederick. It's just I don't know, I'm just genuinely so proud of what this Formula E show has been.
Yeah,
honestly, it's massive.
So am I. Like people in the FE paddock have been talking. Lots of conversations with lots of different people that we can't go too much into detail because obviously we want to surprise you, but there are things happening in the background where we're trying to get more people. Some people get accepted, some people are like, yes, we want to do it, and then some people are like, oh, I don't know yet. But the more and more we do this show, the more and more you guys get involved, the more guests we can get on. We've already started well because we had Jeff Dodds, obviously Tom Brooks, and Mark Preston from Lola. Now we've got Frederick Bertrand coming next Tuesday. So next Tuesday, 7 p.m. It will be very similar to the Mark Preston, and it will be on Zoom. And we'll let you in, and then you'll ask your question to Fred, and he'll be with us for the first hour, and then we'll digest everything he has to say in the second hour. But let's get to your calls, because we've got 2 more people in the call. We're going to go to a good old friend. We're going to go to Super Saz. Super Saz is in the waiting room. Saz, welcome to the FE bar.
Hi, Saz.
Hello?
Hello, can you hear us?
I can hear you.
Excellent. Frederick Bertrand next week. Excited?
Yeah. I'm going to come up with some very cool questions. I haven't decided what yet.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I only had 2 seconds. I still got to figure my questions for him. But no, it's very, very exciting. We've very much looking forward to that. Slightly earlier time of 7 p.m. But let's.
Oh, that's good for me.
Good for you. Good for you, because yes, it's nearly 11 o'clock in Spain. But what did you want to talk about in terms of the calendar?
Oh, good question. No, I can remember this, honest. Just wondering, 2 things. Just wondering, did anything ever come of the idea to have backup circuits in case, like after Hyderabad got cancelled last year, they were talking about having a few circuits on standby. And did anything ever come of that? Anyone know?
It's normally Marrakesh.
I mean, I hope things aren't cancelled, but...
Well, the TBC, that's the scary thing, right? That's the scary thing, is the race potentially in Thailand doesn't go through. It used to be Marrakesh. I don't know in terms of... I don't think you... It's hard to go... Imagine telling a city, right? You're the backup, right? So if a race falls through, get ready, right? Because we're coming. Imagine phoning up, what was it? Imagine phoning up Madrid or Valencia, where you are, right? But you're ready. But they could do that with Valencia, but I suppose it'd still be tough.
It would have to be a circuit.
Yeah, it would have to go
rather than a street.
They'd go to the testing track. But Marrakesh used to be, because how many times, if you remember in history, Marrakesh has been the track that, this is cancelled, well, we're going to jump this right in. Marrakesh will replace it. But it hasn't happened. And they did try to get Marrakesh to replace Hyderabad, but it just didn't work out.
Which is a shame, because I think Africa should really have an E-Prix.
Well, it should be Cape Town, right?
It should be, yes.
It should be Cape Town, and they're interested, so they want to come back. So Formula E's calendar does need to grow, and I think that's something that we should talk about. What would be your ideal calendar length? Like, when should Formula E start? When should Formula E finish?
I think it should start in January.
Yep,
but at the moment we've got one race every almost a race every month, and I think the gap between them is too big.
Yeah.
I get there's a sustainability issue, but I think if they want to grow the fan base, it would be better to have a few more single races in there and go to more places to bring it to more people.
Yeah.
And honestly, I mean, either with 18 races, either do a formula, either go through the summer maybe and make it longer, or probably more reasonable, have a break in August, and why not go have a few in September, October? It would also, if you made the calendar longer, less chances of, you've got more opportunity not to clash with WEC, because at the moment it's, they've always like, we got to end it in July.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very true.
I'm on the same page as Saz. Like, I agree. I completely agree with you.
No, because for me, I was like, I'd start in January, and I'd want races every 2 weeks, pretty much, or when maybe 1 or 2 races every 3 to a month. So if you start in January, you take advantage. You start. So say Mexico's January 11th, so you'd have January 11th. That would be. I'd agree. I think it should be just in 1 year cycle. Don't start in December. Do testing in November. That's fine, and then you start January 2 weeks. Then you've got the 28th. So, but fine, Formula 1 started, and if you tuck a double header in there, even 2 double headers, you could have 6 races, right? Before Formula 1's even started. Great momentum to start the season. And I would run to the end of August, I'd literally try and run as much as I can to the end of August, and then because the off season's too long, Saz. We'll finish in July. We don't go racing until November. We don't see a car till November, and then okay, December we see a race again. But from July to December, it's a long time.
It is, and I think having that one end of August race, yes, because it's my birthday, but also it would keep the momentum, because what's going to happen is people might catch the odd race and be like, okay, if they watch December Sao Paulo, it'd be like, oh, that's cool. When's the next one? January the 11th. They're going to have forgotten by January the 11th.
Yeah. New Year's and Christmas has happened. You know, no one's going to remember anything from Sao Paulo by the time New Year's Day's done. But yeah,
exactly.
I think the calendar, just needs a couple more, and it doesn't matter. They could have 26 races because of the double headers. It doesn't matter too much how long. You can't say, oh, that's too long. But if you do 2 races in 2 days, it's fine, isn't it? It's like a touring car event where you've just got loads of races in one day. Well, what would you do, Aisha? How long do you think the Formula E season should last? Should it go into August and September, or are you happy with it ending in July?
No, I'm generally not happy with ending in July, because as a fan, you know that if it's just right, like for example, as Saz said, start in January and it's somewhere before Christmas, is that right? And then, you know, have the next season starts in January, and then fans will still be engaged of what happened last season.
Yeah.
So they don't really they don't really got lost in touch with the sport and what's actually happening in terms of the championship, the teams, and all of those things. I think it's really vital to keep the fans' engagement as well.
Yeah, I totally agree. Saz, anything else you want to add about the calendar? Are you sad about Italy? Yeah. Sad about Europe? Do you think Spain could get a European slot and get on the calendar?
I would love to see a race in Spain, like not necessarily at a circuit, because at the moment it's all Northern European. I mean, I think Valencia itself, I'm also biased, would be a great street track, but I've got other ideas for street tracks in Spain. I'm a bit sad about Italy. Like, I won't miss Misano, but I think Italy is kind of like,
needs a race.
It was like this year. Oh, I was watching it and I'm like, oh, next year, wherever the FE races in Italy, I'll go there.
Yeah.
And it does seem a bit, just with the travel, it seems like they could have maybe done more for Europe. And also, we came up, I think it was the waiting room or the chat. No, it was the chat, actually. People came up with an interesting idea of more night races in Europe. Like, if Berlin's going to be... Yeah, like Berlin at night, because in the summer it will still be warm. If you did Spain at night, I mean, it only gets dark at like 10, 11 o'clock in the summer.
Yep.
So it's sort of an interesting idea that could bring more, get some... Again, it makes it a bit different from Formula One, although they have night races. They don't have any night races in Europe. And if it's on a city circuit, it would look very cool.
No,
or even Tokyo going round at night. That'd be awesome.
I would pay money to do that. Like, I would actually pay a great money to just see, Formula E race in Spain at night. And I'm sure you would love that too.
Imagine, Saz, it's the Anderson Bridge. You know the bridge where Formula One used to go over? Because we went on a nice little tour when we went pre-season testing. Is that bridge in operation? Like, can that ever be closed and to make the F1 track, or is it just permanently open now and you can't close it?
No, I think you can still close it.
You could still close it because, there's an amazing amount of infrastructure that's still there from F1 around the Valencia track, which when I walked around it was amazing. But yeah. Nikki says, Jack, fix the glass, please. I don't... What's the glass? What my glass is? My glass is like, have they gone broken or something? I don't know what's going on. That's an interesting... You'll have to explain.
Jack just...
have to explain that one. But Saz, thank you so much for coming on, and I know you were waiting for a little bit, but it means the world.
Oh, you're welcome. I come on anytime.
Yeah, love it. I love talking to you, Saz.
Oh, yeah, it's great to have you.
I'll speak to you soon.
And Aisha, you're doing amazing. You should be on more often.
Perfect. She's done an amazing job.
Honestly, I'll join in next week, Frederick. Amazing. I'll be the first to join in, guys.
There we go. Right, we'll say bye to Saz, and then we'll get
Bye.
Chris in. Last but not least, last caller of the night. Hello, Chris. Thank you so much for waiting up.
No worries.
To talk to us. What would you like to talk about with the calendar?
Well, it's what's missing on the calendar, really, rather than what's on there.
What's missing? Tell me what's missing.
I say Cape Town. Obviously, that sounds quite political.
Yep.
I mean,
Very
obviously
much
Cape
so.
Town wasn't good.
But they're working on it. It's just obviously not yet. But maybe next season will be an interesting one to follow.
But will it be just another? But I was going to say, will be another. Remember, South Korea 2 years ago.
Yes.
What a season finale that was, and that's seemed to be. It'll be back the year after, and it just didn't.
You forget Seoul gone, like all the work to get to Seoul, and just gone.
Yeah,
like,
after one season.
I'd like to know the story behind that. I really would. I suppose we're going to have to try and get Alberto Longo on here at some point, if we can. And I'll tell you what, if we could get him on, I might have to make some calls and see if we can do that. We got Jeff on, so it'd be interesting to see what happened with the South Korea one, because there's events like that which is incredible, Chris, but you just forget they ever happened.
Yeah, it is literally. It's like, say, you forgot Hyderabad even happened once.
Yeah. But again, Hyderabad political, again, government, change of government, and then that's just, and I think that's the problem with Formula E, is when local government changes and something's against something, then, and I suppose, I don't know if Aisha, it was kind of maybe a similar, well, it wasn't, it was a political issue that kind of stopped Jakarta from hosting last year.
Yeah, I think the political situation in Jakarta stopped Formula E for like happening for a few years now, which is just like 2022, for example. They're supposed to be happening in Jakarta. Everything's ready, including the organization, just like. But then again, there's like a political campaign, and the local government, the head of the local government, is the candidate, and everyone is just like, you know what? No, like Formula E is just like, it's just a waste of money when it's actually not. When it's actually bringing like all of the positive to Jakarta, and then again, it's just like the same political situation that's basically happening in India and Africa. It's just always leaving an impact on Formula E, and it's just not a great look. No.
Yeah, in chat, I think Vitali says Buenos Aires was a great track the early days of Formula E, and obviously, yeah, we're missing that right now. Any other missing tracks? Korea missing, Hyderabad, obviously we know about Cape Town. Anything else that surprised you or you were upset about?
I wasn't upset about Portland being missed. That was one of those where it's like, again, obviously you never know with Homestead. I think it's an interesting choice for a circuit, but I'll give it, like I say, we all rail Shanghai, and it was an amazing race. So let's broaden our horizons. And yeah, I know it's been discussed many times, but obviously no Italy. Only 3 European races. I know they're all double headers, but only 3 European locations.
Yeah, I know, it's a bit sad, isn't it? It's a
bit
sad.
But on the flip side is obviously more with EVs. Obviously they're targeted to more lower income countries, so more in Asia, say Indonesia, China, all of those sorts of countries.
They're going where the EV market is quite big at the moment, isn't it? And maybe it just wasn't big enough in South Korea. Maybe that's why. And if you go back to Jeff Dodds, if we go back to the interview we had with Jeff, and we were talking about Australia, and you'd think Australia might be a place where Formula E would go, but apparently it's not a big EV market, so therefore there's no interest really to go to Australia, which sounds crazy when you think a Sydney E-Prix, a Brisbane E-Prix, a Melbourne E-Prix, how cool that would be, but it's just they're not interested.
Yeah, but then you look at Australia and you think, actually, you can see why it's not a very it's not going to be, because look at it, like Australia and New Zealand, they're both so far apart that EVs just aren't there yet. Unfortunately.
So I suppose that they're the things that they're taking into account. They're trying to push it and that's why Thailand, if Thailand is the final one, that they take it in, but then that's because of the uptake of EVs in Thailand.
Yeah, I'd say another miss actually, Marrakesh. I know that's been mentioned again, but
Yeah, I think that's just become a backup now. I really do. I think it's become a backup, and it's just. Yeah. I don't know why, but again, it's just a race for. I think it's just a race for a race. But then again, the time a race for a race isn't that bad. Like it's a good little track. I think it would do well for Gen 3. It's a shame really it's not on there.
It does the job. Like, what more can you ask for? Yeah, okay, it's not a bit like Dira. It's not very spectator friendly, but it does the job.
Yeah, but then at the same time, I suppose Formula E want to make money, a bit like Formula 1 from these events. And if Marrakesh is like, well, we ain't paying, then therefore, you know, they probably did Formula E so many favours that they raced there for free for a while because they were doing Formula E favours. And now they like, well, Formula E like, well, and I suppose that's what it is. I bet you any money it probably comes down to a financial implication.
No, but I have to
go on.
Just before we move on, just like Thailand, for example, I know that like Formula E is doing a race in Jakarta just because they want more people to buy the electric vehicle. And in Thailand, do you think does it really matter? Like, what do you guys think? Do you think Formula E is planning to do a race in Thailand, for example, like they're making them as the backup just because they want to boost those EV users? Does that matter?
What do you think, Chris?
It's a very good question. As I say, that's obviously the key thing for Formula E. Same with Formula 1, obviously development of the vehicles. Say you look back to Gen 1 and cars couldn't even run a full race.
Yep.
And now the cars can run near on an hour. But yeah, I think that's what they're there for, is to develop the cars.
Yeah.
And yeah, to sell more EVs. If they didn't get that, then why would all the big manufacturers be in the sport?
It's true.
That's why they're there.
It's like Formula E should be in more than just for the money. Like they're just like here for like the good intention, as well as like pushing the sales. And in Thailand, it could do the magic. People would just be like more interested. For example, here, all over the world, doing the races overseas electric vehicles, and that should be taken into consideration, don't you think?
It's a business, unfortunately.
No, yeah, it is, but but like, you know, just Thailand. I don't know because I've never just raced in Thailand apart from MotoGP. Is Formula 1 even in Thailand? I don't think so.
No.
They tried a few years back and it failed.
They did. But Chris, we're gonna have to cap it there for time, unfortunately. But thank you so much for waiting around. I know you've been waiting around for a while, but it's busy this FE bar trying to get everybody on.
No worries.
But a pleasure, and hopefully Frederick Bertrand next week. Gonna get some questions lined up.
Yeah, I'm sure I can prep one. I mean, I do slightly miss Dilbag, but
yep.
Never mind. Fred's a worthy replacement.
He's a worthy replacement, and he's got some interesting stories to tell as well. So we'll enjoy his company next week. Thank you very much, Chris, and we'll speak to you soon.
Cheers. Ta-da.
So there we go. So that's the cool part done, Aisha. How have you found the show?
No, yeah, it's been really fun seeing a lot of just like the fans, just like, you know, everyone joining the call. I'm starting to like it even more. Oh my god! Yes. Like, you know what? I'll be down to do co-host next.
Yeah. All of a sudden, it's like, yeah, I want to do it. It's like Nick. It's like, oh yeah, I'll do it again. I'll do it again. You get the bug. Like talking to you lot, lovely. So what we're gonna do now? This is extra time, right? So we've got about another 20-minute interview with Jack Smith from Motorsport Week, who wanted to come on the show tonight as a guest, but unfortunately couldn't make it. And really wanted to talk to you and give you his views on the calendar and what he knows from what's going on behind the scenes from his sources. So we're going to play that now, and then me and Aisha will wrap up the show. So we're going to go on to about 10:30, but we'll literally wrap up the show towards the end. So enjoy Jack at 10. So I am here with Jack Smith from Motorsport Week. Firstly, mate, how are you? It's been a couple of weeks since we've been in the paddock.
Yeah, I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. Everything's okay. It's just, you know, twiddling our thumbs waiting for some more Formula E races. But we had the calendar, right? So plenty to digest ahead of Portland. So lots to talk about. Just what were your general thoughts on the calendar?
I think it's really exciting and very, very interesting. I think that there's some really good additions and good, obviously, returning additions to the calendar, which we like. and I think that the inclusion of the double headers in Monaco and Tokyo are particularly noteworthy as well, given that, you know, Tokyo is a huge city that never shuts down for anything, and the fact that Monaco has never really shut down for as many days as that, unless it's a Grand Prix. So they're two really big, I think, sort of marquee things in that calendar, as well as all the new and returning tracks.
Yeah, indeed. Let's talk about Monaco actually, because obviously you're right. It is a double header. They monitored it, or they called it like the biggest calendar, right? And they wanted that last season. Obviously, we lost Hyderabad. Do you think like just blocking like these double headers in Monaco and Tokyo are just to get that 17 race calendar again, or do you see it as like actually it's something to celebrate that we've got Monaco as 2 races and Tokyo as 2 races?
I'll try to not be cynical. I think that they have been put in the calendar not just to make it bigger, but I think it's also a statement of Formula E's status growing as a very legitimate motorsport series. You know, and I think it also is a way of Formula E showing the world that you can race at somewhere like Monaco and it be exciting.
Yes.
Because you don't get that in Formula One anymore. So I think that that's also another point they're sort of proving. But yeah, I like the fact that the calendar has grown a bit, and we've got a few more double headers, because it's just, you know, the more action you get, the more fulfilled you are when, as a fan or as someone like us, going to the races to watch them in a work capacity. So you know, I don't think there's a huge amount to criticize about it, and I think it's as I say, it's a really exciting calendar, I think.
Yeah, I do. I think it's exciting too. I must admit, Monaco twice. You know, love Monaco. I think having the more Monacos you can get, the better. And obviously Tokyo, I think special. And if they could, you know, we'd all love a Tokyo night race, but maybe in the future. Also, we've got Miami, right? So Miami returns to the calendar from season 1. Obviously a bit far out at the Homestead Speedway circuit. I did my calculation, 47 miles from the airport. So when we get there, it's a bit of a trek to get to the track. But like being back in Miami, what's your thoughts on that?
I find it really interesting. I think a lot of people are a little bit worried about the layout of the track, because I think that there's obviously now going to be a constant worry that a new layout, a new circuit means another peloton race for those that don't like it. I will do a piece on this sort of over the next few days, and I've been researching the circuit, and I've actually watched quite a lot of onboards of other cars in other series racing there. And yeah, I can see that there could be a slight peloton element, but I don't think it's going to be necessarily as bad as some of the ones we've seen this year. Some of the circuit is quite twisty. It puts me in mind a little bit of the old Indy F1 circuit that they did back in the early to mid 2000s. So you've got that little bit of oval that they will go on, but there is the infield section. I think, you know, with Gen 3 Evo, I beg your pardon, I think that will maybe take the sting off the peloton effect, potentially. And you don't know if you don't try it. You know, it's I'm sure from Formula E's perspective, I very much doubt that they've got a long-term deal for it. I suspect it could be an experimental race just to see whether it works. And if it doesn't work, they probably won't go back. So, but as I say, you don't know if you don't try it.
Yeah, because they're only there for one day, which I know you probably could have a double header in Miami, considering the location, and it is on a circuit per se. So you know you're not closing down any streets. But my worry with Miami was its location. As much as it is in Miami, and plus American cities are massive, and we have to remember this. But 45 miles away from the airport for a 45-minute race, you know, in terms of tourists and getting people to that location seems a bit, I don't know. I'm hopeful for Formula E that it works, but I'm not. It feels too far away for, I don't know, 45 minutes, 45 miles away from the city centre. Feels a bit, I don't know, iffy. I don't know what you think on that.
Well, there is that there is that sort of Jeremy Clarkson point that NASCAR is one of those things where Americans will just turn up and they go, "Oh, I'll pay to go watch that," and maybe that's kind of what they're hoping for. But it is, again, it's not really in the Formula E ethos that you have a race that far from an airport, which is one of the reasons we haven't got Misano next year. So I do find that one a little bit sort of off key, if you like. But which again, it's another reason that makes me think that they are just trying it out next year to see if it works.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if it sells pretty well. I'm not going to stick my neck on the line and say it's going to be a sellout race, but I would very much suggest that, knowing what American motorsport fans are like, they'll probably go and watch anything at least once. So I suspect it will get a good crowd. Whether it will show up well in one race, I don't know. If it was a double header, you'd probably see a shorter second race, and then you might see a bit more entertainment. So it's a bit of a risk. I would say, it's a bit of a risk from the points that you've raised, and I would certainly agree with those. But I think it's all part of Formula E's plan to sort of keep dipping their toe in the water to see what American venue is the one they want to stick or twist on.
Yeah, I do think that, and I think there is a lot of interest from America. It's just finding what works in America, and plus I think with obviously IndyCar and so forth, there's tons of tracks that are not, I would say, ready-made, but there are tracks that IndyCar do, NASCAR do, that maybe you might want to start talking to. But you mentioned Italy, and losing Misano. How big is it? We had Rome. Everybody loved Rome. The drivers in Misano were like, "Just take me back to Rome. Just put Rome back. Just give me Rome back." And we go to Misano. They don't quite like it. We could have gone back to Misano, but the fact that Italy is off the calendar completely, massive blow, I feel.
Yeah, and this is where there's a slight contradiction in what you were just saying about the logistical side of Miami. Jeff Dodds told me that one of the reasons that Misano was gone, partly also because of, I think, the fact the drivers just didn't like it, was also the fact that it was not really near an airport. In fact, it was quite a bit further out than what the Miami one is, in all fairness.
An hour and a half from Bologna, the main one.
Yeah, exactly, and no one really uses Rimini that much, so the airport there. So yeah, I think it was, as far as Jeff was concerned, he certainly put it across as that it was not, it was a great venue and it was, very well organised, and you can't disagree with that. Yeah. But it never really felt like their long-term home. And I can also see his other point that as we're getting into Gen 3 Evo and then Gen 4 comes next, I just don't think the Rome circuit's going to cut it anymore. It's a great circuit. I know the drivers like it, but I think the faster the cars get on a circuit like that, it's just really not going to be able to have much longevity, because, the more sophisticated a Formula E car is going to become, the slightly wider street circuits you're going to need. Which is why, I've been in discussions with drivers and they've suggested places like Baku. Yeah. And a lot of people have made a very good case for somewhere like Montreal to be a street circuit that would work for Formula E in the future. Yeah. Rome is, I think, going to get too tight and too twisty for these fast cars. So I get the point that they can't really go back to Rome, and I certainly get the point that they, won't be going to Misano again. I mean, having been there this year myself, it was quite plain walking around that the drivers either were happily going on the record saying they didn't like it, or you could just overhear them at any given point you were near them saying that they didn't like it. So I think the drivers probably all got together and made it very clear that they didn't want to go back. But yeah, I totally agree that no Italy is a bit of a blow. And again, Jeff has made the point that they will be looking to have a permanent home in Italy at some point, and they want to make it in a city centre. So you never know if they could try and tweak Rome, or they could try somewhere like Milan or somewhere like that. I wouldn't ever rule it out. The only thing I would say is if there's no Italian E-Prix, then I think it puts the brakes on all the speculation about Ferrari going into Formula E even more.
100%. I have to agree with that. I want to move on because obviously London. A lot of talk happening at the moment with Silverstone for potentially next season. But London, we have another year of London, and we talked about Monaco, and you mentioned Monaco there, and obviously you were referencing the F1 race and not much happening, and London is kind of similar for Formula E standards in terms of, you know, it's not the most entertaining race, but Formula One sticks with Monaco, right? Could Formula E say as London, because obviously saying that you race in London sounds so much better than the Silverstone E-Prix, in my opinion, right? And I think, do you think more should be done to try and keep London, and even if it is a special event, and you know how they've been talking about Monaco, maybe we should do, like, you know, 2 mandatory stops or soft tyre races. Could there be something that Formula E goes, you know what, we'll do something different for London, whereas, because it's not like every other Formula E, we will be experimental, we will have this sort of, I don't want to throw out these gimmicks too much, but because I know not everyone likes them, but just to make London a bit more exciting, and to keep that, you know, idea of racing in London, which Formula E, like what they did with Tokyo, worked so hard to make sure they got on the calendar.
Yeah, I mean, I would be sad to lose London, not just from a personal point of view, but for the fact that it has provided quite a lot of dramatic racing in its time on the calendar. But I do think that there is a point that it's going to become a little bit like what Jeff said about Rome. I think the cars are going to start outgrowing the circuit. And yeah, you could try things like, you know, mandatory stops and things like that, but the actual on-track racing is probably going to be slightly blunted by that, I think. I would like to see them do something, if possible, to keep a race in London. At the very least, keep it in a big city in the UK. I've heard lots of different things about various places in Britain being mooted as venues, not just permanent circuits, but city centres as well. But yeah, you're right. I don't think Silverstone is ever really going to work. Even if they use the national circuit, I still don't think it's going to work because, again, Silverstone's a nightmare to get to on a day when there's no racing going on.
Yeah.
So when you're going for a motor race, and potentially that is also going to cause an issue with ticket sales when you're not in the city centre, I do fear that Silverstone could be an experiment that goes wrong. I hope not. I hope it works. That would be great, but I think realistically it's not going to. So yeah, my opinion would be I would love to see them tweak London as much as they can, even if it's moving it to a different part of the city, to keep, as you say, it's sort of like, you know, having Monaco is a big marquee event, and for us as Brits to have a London E-Prix would be great. So hopefully they could do something. And I'm sure that all the options are still being kept open, which is probably why it is on next year's calendar, because it's giving them a little bit more time to figure out what they're going to do.
Yeah, 100%, because obviously it's got a contract anyway for next year. That's why it was easy to keep hold of it. The contract was in place, and that's the discussion point now is, do we go to Silverstone, which, you know, Formula E are talking about, you know, Stuart Pringle, the CEO of Silverstone, he was in China talking about, you know, a potential race at Silverstone, but, you know, there's also talk of, you know, the Olympic Park, and there's always been a talk around the Olympic Park, for example, in London, and, you know, coming from that area, studying around that area, I know how quiet that area around the Olympic Stadium can be during the days, and especially in pre-season, which we are now, for football, with West Ham obviously owning the Olympic Stadium, it could be a really nice time to conduct a race there potentially. But the only other thing, I think, a couple of things to talk about is the gaps in the calendar. So in terms of the gaps, you know, we've got a 5-week gap from December, the first race, to January. I know there's obviously New Year's and Christmas in the way of that, but then there's like another 4-week gap, and then another 4-week gap, and you feel like, oh, we're just in that vital time when Formula One is not on. I still feel 10 years, you know, 11th season, Formula E's never really taken advantage of that.
No, I think you're right. You know, I'm sure that if you put it to Formula E, they would give you a lot of rational and sensible explanations to that. But it does feel like a teeny bit of an open goal that keeps being missed. When you've got clashes with Formula One races, I believe this next year's calendar, I think there's going to be 6 weekends where we're going to have a Formula One race on at the same time. Which, it just seems like it's not helping Formula E's case to keep legitimizing itself. Now, we think it's a legitimate series, and we would die on a hill for that. But there's a lot of naysayers out there that don't really don't really enjoy Formula E, and I think that those gaps are gonna play into the hands of those people. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. As I said to you, I think Formula E will always, I'm sure they would put their own side of that across. But the gaps, I don't really like the gaps. Once you get going in a season, you want to keep going.
Yep.
As a Formula One fan as well, I hate it when there's a summer break, because you just, it's putting the brakes on what you're enjoying, and we all hated the gap.
The 7
It was
week
slightly,
gap, of course.
Yeah, it was slightly obviously forced upon us, and there was little to they could do about that. But a 7 week gap is always really frustrating, and then you've got the whole of Christmas this year to twiddle our thumbs and tap our fingers with bated breath, waiting for it.
Wait for Mexico. And then the only other thing, I suppose, is we don't know at this precise moment, but obviously the World Endurance Championship are set to probably announce their calendar on Friday, which obviously is huge for Formula E, because, and obviously Formula E will probably know what their calendar is, but if there is another clash like we had this year in Berlin, could affect the driver market.
It could. I think that there's becoming a point now where this could be a slightly hot button issue for some of the drivers. I mean, we saw it in Berlin. A lot of the drivers were incredibly frustrated that they had to, choose whether it was contractually forced upon them or whether it was their own choice to either race in WEC or race in Berlin. And there was quite a good number of drivers that decided to stay in Formula E that weekend, and God bless them for that. But we only have one clash that we think so far, but it could well be more than that. And as you say, the drivers are going to be probably put in this very invidious position where they just are going to have to choose between one or the other. I mean, Da Costa this season had to choose between one or the other, and he chose Formula E. And having looked at his Instagram story today, you can tell he's longing to be at Le Mans this year. Yep. And these drivers are going to have to make that decision again, which is frustrating for everybody, frustrating for us, and it's frustrating for people that are fans of endurance racing as well, because there could be a possibility where some teams in WEC may even have races where they only run, the shorter races, they might only run 2 drivers, and then they'll only take a third one on for the longer races, and that puts those drivers in a position where they're not really contributing to the championship.
Indeed. Right, Jack, I have to say a massive thanks for coming on and speaking to us, and hopefully we'll see you in London, because I don't think you're going to Portland, but
probably not, hopefully, but probably not, but London definitely.
But London definitely, so I look forward to seeing you in London, and we'll see you then.
Take care, mate. Thanks very much. See you soon.
And we are back, and for Saz, you're joined by my cat. Because she's like, why are you still streaming? This normally finishes at 10 o'clock and you're still going on. So she wants a cuddle. But Aisha, what a debut.
Oh, I just
see the cat. Yeah, there she is, perched on the little shoulder. Aisha's been asking about the cat like in every break. Where's the cat? Where's the cat? I said, I don't know where the cat is. Where is the cat? But
so cute.
Great,
no, yeah.
great debut. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on. I hope you've enjoyed it.
No, I loved it. I love talking to everyone. And I hope I'll see everyone next time. We'll see.
So we will be back on Tuesday right, from 7 p.m, an earlier start time, 1 hour earlier start time than usual. So 7 till 9 p.m. will be the FE bar. Well, around then. Tonight's one went on for a half hour extra because we had so much content to fit in. Can we have Aisha always? Yes, of course we can. She can always pop in. And she's always welcome to come on the show. So if you want a bit of more Aisha, then just just ask and she'll come on. I'm sure she was happy to come on.
No,
Please
more
pet
than
the cat for me. There you go. Look, she's getting some strokes. But thanks so much for watching the show. I hope you have enjoyed it. We'll be back next Tuesday from 7 o'clock. Good night. God bless.
And don't forget Frederick Bertrand. Come into
don't
our
forget
show.
Frederick Bertrand next Tuesday. Good night.
So are we done now?
Yes.